everyone, and welcome back to our cozy studio. It's Mira here, ready to bring some sunshine to your day, even if the weather outside is questionable. We are so thrilled to be back on YouTube with all of you amazing listeners. If you're watching, give that like button a tap. It's like sending us a virtual hi-fi. Ooh.
Yeah, welcome back, folks. Leo here, still trying to figure out how Mira manages to be this cheerful before her first coffee. Seriously, Mira, do you run on batteries or something? Anyway, glad you've tuned in again, whether you're here on YouTube or listening to the podcast.
Darling, it's cheer, unadulterated enthusiasm. Oh, and maybe a little bit of daydreaming about exotic desserts. Speaking of which, you won't believe what happened to me just yesterday. I was trying to bake a cake of rainbow sprinkle extravaganza. Naturally, and I somehow managed to set off this local alarm just by opening the oven. Well...
Oh, Mira. A rainbow sprinkle smoke alarm incident. That's poetic. Me? Mine was less flammable. I was at the supermarket, right? Just trying to buy coffee to Lifeblood, and I got stuck behind this guy arguing with the cashier about a 5-cent discount on bananas. Bananas. 5 cents. People are wild. Mira, absolutely wild.
Leo. The drama of the discount banana. See? Even mundane supermarket trips can be comedy gold if you look closely enough. But speaking of wild and diverse places, today we're diving into a comparison that's been on our minds and probably yours too.
Indeed. Forget discount bananas, let's talk about nations. We're entering into the fascinating and sometimes, let's be honest, slightly bewildering worlds of Iran and Israel. Buckle up, folks, this could get interesting.
Interesting and maybe a little spicy, just like a good Persian stew with some amazing Israeli falafel. Ooh, we're going to explore these two countries side by side in our usual friendly, conversational way. No political shouting matches here, just good old-fashioned comparing and contrasting.
Exactly. We're not here to solve geopolitical crises, Mira. We're here to answer the important questions, like which country has the better street food, and who has the more dramatic traffic. These are the things people really want to know, right?
Practical stuff. Because whether you're planning a trip, dreaming of a move, or just curious about the world, knowing the nitty-gritty details is key. So, let's jump right in and start our comparison, Iran and Israel. Aha! Because we're diving into a topic that's less about sunshine and beaches and more about keeping your wits about you. We're talking general safety and crime rates. And today's contenders are Iran and Israel. From solid data to two fascinating insights and real-life stories, we're about to bring the numbers to life, or at least try not to become a statistic ourselves while visiting.
Safety and crime, huh? Sounds like we're about to compare dodging traffic in Tehran to dodging. Well, let's just say other kinds of traffic in certain parts of Israel. But seriously, folks, safety is key. Unless you're into extreme travel blogging titled My Near-Death Experiences in the Middle East.
Nobody wants their vacation photos to be evidence in a police report. So, let's start with Iran. When you hear Iri, mind you hear me wrong, some people might immediately picture, I don't know, maybe a Jason Bourne movie. But, is that reality? What's your take, Mr. Welder Traveler?
My take? Hollywood loves drama more than it loves facts, Mira. Iran, from what I've seen and heard is seen and heard is seen and heard is some petty crime. Think less Mission Impossible and more Mission. Mildly inconvenient if you leave your phone on a cafe table. Pickpocketing exists like everywhere else, but violent crime against tourists is pretty rare.
That's good to hear. Because honestly, I'd rather worry about accidentally ordering 100 kebabs because I pointed at the wrong thing on the menu than worry about, actual danger. So, petty crime is the main thing in Iran?
Yeah, petty theft. Scams aimed at tourists, the usual suspects. Cities like Tehran are huge and bustling, so you need to be aware of your surroundings, especially in crowded bazaars. But it's more about being street smart than fearing fear in New York. but with better carpeting rush hour in New York?
Better carpets. Definitely a plus. Wow. Now let's hop over to Israel. It's got a bit of a different reputation in some circles, right? Does the safety vibe change drastically when you cross the border? Metaphorically speaking, of course, since borders are complicated.
Complicated is the understatement of a century, Mira. Israel has layers. In touristy areas like Tel Aviv or Jerusalem's Old City, you're generally quite safe. Lots of police presence, security cameras, it's all very visible. But then you have to factor in the, shall we say, ongoing geopolitical situation.
Geopolitical situation. Fancy words, Leo. Are we talking spy novels again? Or is it more down to earth? Because I pack sandals, not combat boots.
Sandals are probably fine for Tel Aviv beaches, Mira. But yeah, the situation means there's a higher security awareness overall. You'll see security checks everywhere, more armed personnel than your average Starbucks. And you might hear about tensions flaring up occasionally. It's not constant chaos. But it's a background hum you can't ignore.
Background hum noting. So, for Israel, it's less about random street crime and more about broader security concerns. Is that fair to say? Aha!
Fair enough. Street crime exists, sure, pickpockets in crowded spots. Maybe some car break-ins. But the bigger safety aspect is linked to the political climate. You might encounter protests, security alerts, and need to be aware of travel advisories. It's more about being informed and cautious than terrified.
Informed and cautious sounds like good life advice in general, not just for traveling. So, if you're just visiting the main tourist spots in both countries, and you're not, say, trying to become an international jewel thief, are we talking roughly similar levels of day-to-day safety?
In terms of personal safety from regular crime, yes, I'd say they are more similar than different for typical tourists, sticking to well-trodden paths. Both have cities where you need to be aware, use common sense, and not flash expensive gadgets around. But neither are war zones for the average visitor. Unless you count the battle for the last falafel. That's always fierce.
The battle for falafel. Now that's a crime I understand. There. So, bottom line, for general safety and crime rates, it sounds like both Iran and Israel require a healthy dose of traveler smarts. But maybe not a bulletproof vest for your sightseeing tour. Anything else we should highlight before we move on to, perhaps, something less intense? Like... I'm suddenly hungry.
Food sounds excellent, Mira. But just one last safety tip in both countries. Being respectful of local customs goes a long way in ensuring your own safety and comfort. Don't go wandering into religious sites in your bikini, and you'll probably be just fine. Now, about those kebags and falafel.
Our next stop on this whirlwind tour of countries is political stability and social harmony. Sounds like a fancy way of asking, are things chill or chaotic? When you think you're on Israel, chill isn't exactly the first word that pops into your head, right?
Cha is what you feel when you accidentally sit on an ice cube, Mira. And you're right, picturing Iran on Israel as harmonious is like imagining cats and dogs sharing a cozy nap. But let's dig a bit deeper than just headlines and dramatic movie trailers, shall we?
I mean, on the news, it's all about, well, tension. Whoa, but what's it actually like for people living there? Is it all political rallies and shouting matches in the streets? Or is there more to the everyday picture? Ooh, maybe they have really good street from the political vibes.
Street food can be a powerful distraction, Mira. I agree. It can unite even the most politically divided stomachs. But seriously, both countries have complex political landscapes. Iran's got its unique system with the supreme leader and the elected president, which can be, let's say, dynamically stable. It's like a pressure cooker that sometimes whistles loudly, but mostly keeps us to simmering.
A pressure cooker. Love that analogy, Leo. And Israel, with its parliamentary democracy, seems more like a really lively debate club that's always in session. Whoa, Lots of different voices. Lots of opinions. Does that make it stable or just constantly energetic? Huh?
Constantly energetic is a kind way of putting it, Mira. Think of it as a roller coaster thrilling lots of ups and downs. And you might feel a bit queasy afterwards, but technically it stays on the tracks. Israel's political scene is definitely vibrant, with coalition governments and passionate public discourse. It's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
Sounds exhausting, but also maybe kinda interesting? Wow! Like, imagine the dinner table conversations. Wow, no boring small talk, I bet. Just pass the hummus, and let's debate the future of the region.
You're picturing family dinners as political seminars, Mira. It's probably not that intense every day. But the point is, political issues are definitely part of the public conversation in both countries. In Iran, it might be more about navigating within the existing system, while in Israel, it's about constant debate and negotiation between different groups.
That's a good word. Like, social harmony isn't just about everyone holding hands and singing Kumbaya, right? It's also about agreeing to disagree, but still, living next door to each other and borrowing sugar when you run out? Oh, even if you have totally different bumper stickers on your cars?
Exactly, Mira. Social harmony isn't about forced uniformity. It's about managing diversity. And both Iran and Israel are incredibly diverse societies, even if in different ways. Iran has a mix of anti-Zionist and religious minorities, while Israel is a melting pot of Jewish communities from all over the world, plus a significant Arab population. It's like a spice rack, lots of different flavors that need to blend together dish. It's like explodes.
Sisra. Perfect. So, it's not just about political stability from the top down, but also social stability from the ground up? Wow, like how do people actually interact with each other day to day? Are they mostly getting along, or is there always a low hum of tension in the air?
That's the million-dollar question, Mira. And the answer is as always complicated. In both countries, you'll find incredible hospitality and warmth within communities. People are generally welcoming and friendly in their actions. But there's always a but, isn't there? There's always a but, isn't there? Broader social harmony can be challenged by political divides and historical grievances.
Maybe as big as the distance between Iran and Israel, maybe? So, like, you can have amazing neighbors and still feel the weight of bigger issues in the background. Ouch. That sounds a bit stressful.
It can be, Mira, depending on your perspective and where you are. For expats, especially, understanding these nuances is crucial. You might experience incredible personal warmth and kindness while also being aware of the larger political and social context. It's about navigating both the personal and the public spheres. And maybe bringing extra sugar when you borrow from your neighbor, just to be extra harmonious.
Extra sugar. Great tip. Leo, always bring extra sugar. Oh, maybe we should rename this topic to political stability, social harmony, and the strategic use of sugar. But seriously, it sounds like both Iran and Israel are places where you really need to understand the layers. It's not just black and white, good or bad, stable. It's colorful and complex, like a really intricate tapestry. Wow.
Intricate tapestry is a lovely way to put it, Mira. Or maybe a really complex stand-up routine, lots of layers, unexpected twists, and you hope it all comes together in the end without anyone throwing tomatoes. And if you want to explore these tapestries or routines for yourself, Jet Off AI is a great place to start your own observational trip. Just remember to pack your sugar and maybe a flak jacket of humor, just in case.
A flak jacket of humor. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, absolutely check out Jet Off AI for all your complex tapestry exploration needs. And if you like this podcast, remember to like and subscribe. Ooh, maybe subscribing will increase your own political stability and social harmony levels. Who knows? Wow. Our current topic, let's chat about economic conditions and cost of living in Iran and Israel, exploring how these things really hit expats right in their wallets. From job market figures to practical daily spending, it's quite a contrast, you know.
Contrast is the polite word, Mira. It's like comparing a falafel stand to a diamond exchange. Both involve money, but the vibe is slightly different. So, Iran and Israel, huh? Let's unpack this financial feast or famine, depending on where you're standing.
Okay, let's start with Iran. From what I've heard, the job market can be a bit tricky for expats, largely due to, international relations and sanctions and all that serious stuff. But for those who do find opportunities, especially in specialized fields like oil and gas, or maybe even some tech niches, the cost of living can seem surprisingly affordable compared to many Western countries.
Affordable is one way to put it, Mira. Affordable is one way to put it, Mira. Another way is you might actually be able to afford to live like royalty if you're getting paid in foreign currency. Because, let's be honest, the Onion Royal has seen better days. It's like that old joke. What's the difference between the erotic lean? Nothing. They both depreciate dramatically. Ouch. Sorry, Royal? No offense.
You are incorrigible. But you're not entirely wrong. For expats earning in dollars or euros, things like rent, groceries, and even eating out in Iran can feel quite budget-friendly. Wow! Imagine getting a whole feast for what you pay for us, and much in Tel Aviv. Wow.
It's like in Iran, your money can stretch further than a yoga instructor in a week-long retreat. But, and it's a big but, that affordability comes with a side of economic instability. Currency fluctuations are more common than pigeons in a city square. Whoa, so your savings might feel like they're on a roller coaster, going up and down depending on the news cycle.
True. Economic stability is a biggie. Israel's after Israel. Israel's economy is much more developed and integrated into the global market, especially in tech, innovation, and even tourism. The job market is generally stronger, particularly in those booming sectors, offering more opportunities for skilled expats.
Stronger job market, yes. Stronger prices, too. Tel Aviv, in particular, often ranks as one of the most expensive cities in the world. It's like, you blink and your wallet loses 10 shekels. Ouch, rent in Tel Aviv. Prepare to sell a kidney, or maybe just a very valuable vintage coffee mug collection.
Okay, maybe not kidneys. But yes, the cost of living in Israel, especially in major cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, is definitely on the higher side. Wow. Housing is a major expense, and so are groceries, transportation, and entertainment. It's more in line with Western European or North American prices, I'd say.
More in line? Mira, it's like they took the prices from Western Europe, sprinkled some extra Holy Land tax on top, and then said, "Welcome to Israel, please empty your bank account at the door."
But think about the benefits too, Leo. Israel offers a higher quality of life in many respects, especially in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. And the tech scene. If you're in tech, Israel is like the Silicon Valley of the Middle East, buzzing with innovation and opportunities.
Tech is great. Innovation is fantastic, but try explaining innovation is fantastic. But try explaining innovation to your landlord when rent is due. Sorry, Mr. Landlord. In innovating on how to pay rent, good vibe Vord does it. So while Israel offers a robust economy and exciting career prospects, be prepared to pay a premium for pretty much everything.
It's all about priorities, isn't it? If you value a potentially lower cost of living in $K with economic uncertainty, Iran might be interesting, especially if you have a niche skill set. But if you prioritize economic stability, a thriving job market in certain sectors, and a westernized lifestyle, and your budget can handle it, Israel is probably the more obvious choice.
Obvious choice for your wallet to cry a little maybe. But you're right, Mira. It really boils down to what you're looking for. Iran is like that mysterious, budget-friendly travel destination that's full of surprises, both good and potentially surprising. And Israel is like that well-established high-end resort where everything is top-notch, but you know you're gonna pay for it.
Perfect analogy, Leah. So, for expats considering either Iran or Israel for their next adventure, do your homework on the economic front. Check out websites like Jet Off AI for more detailed comparisons and cost of living breakdowns. Ooh, and maybe watch some YouTube vlogs to get a real feel for the daily expenses.
Definitely check Jet Off AI. They probably have some fancy charts and graphs to make this all look even more confusing. But seriously, understanding the economic landscape is crucial, because nobody wants to move halfway across the world only to find out they can only afford instant noodles for dinner.
And don't forget to factor in currency exchange rates and potential inflation in both countries. It can really impact your day-to-day finances. And maybe learn a little bit about budgeting, just in case.
Budgeting? What's budgeting? Is that like limiting the number of coffees I can buy in a day? Horrifying thought. Yes, Mira's right. Be financially savvy, folks. Or at least be prepared to laugh about your financial mishaps later. Because in the end, humor is always cheaper than therapy.
And if you enjoyed our financial comedy show, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Oh, it's free, and it helps us keep the podcast going. Wow, maybe if we get enough likes, Jet Off AI will even give us a raise.
A raise? Now that's something to innovate on. But seriously, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And remember, whether you're facing Iranian roller coaster or Israeli shekel sticker shock, keep smiling and maybe pack some extra snacks, just in case.
Alright, Leo. Let's talk about where people might lay their heads if they're thinking of Iran or Israel. Accommodation, you know. That crucial thing unless you plan on sleeping under the stars every night.
Under the stars? In the desert, maybe. Though, knowing my luck, I'd probably pick a night where it rains in the desert. Accommodation crucial indeed. It's not just about a roof over your head, it's about the quality of that roof, right? And maybe if it comes with a complimentary camel ride in Iran?
Camel rides as your rent? Now that's an upgrade. But seriously, in Iran, you can find some really beautiful traditional houses, especially in cities like Yazd or Isfahan. Imagine courtyards, those gorgeous Persian carpets, maybe even a little fountain tinkling away. It's like stepping into a history book, but you get to live there.
History book living, that sounds fancy. Though, I'm picturing drafty windows and plumbing from the Bronze Age. Yeah, I'm teasing, Mira. They probably have modern plumbing now at historical houses, hopefully. But yeah, Iran has those amazing traditional places, and then you've got your more modern apartments in cities like Tehran.
And Tehran is a bustling city, so you'll find modern apartments there. Maybe not with the courtyard fountains, but definitely with walls. And roofs, which are, you know, generally appreciated. Ooh, and for tourists, there are guest houses and hotels that can be surprisingly affordable, especially compared to, say, a certain country we might be discussing next.
Affordable, you say? Affordable is good. My wallet likes affordable. Unlike certain other places, cough, Israel. Well, let's just say Tel Aviv prices can make your eyes water faster than chopping onions. Modern apartments. Yes? Luxury. Often.
Did you just subtly shade Tel Aviv prices? But you're right. Israel, especially Tel Aviv, can be pricier. You're looking at modern apartments, often high quality, very Western style, you know. Think sleek minimalist. Maybe a balcony overlooking the Mediterranean if you can afford the balcony overlooking the Mediterranean. Ouch!
A balcony overlooking the Mediterranean in Tel Aviv. That's like winning the lottery, but the lottery prize is just the balcony. Inside, you'll probably find all the mod cons, air conditioning that works over time, and maybe even a robot vacuuming for you. But yeah, be prepared to pay for that robot's lifestyle too. Oh,
Robot vacuuming lifestyle. Now that's the dream. But beyond the Tel Aviv bubble, Israel also has kibbutzim, which are really unique. Communal living, sharing choices, maybe even sharing chores. Imagine living in a community where everyone knows your name and probably your Netflix password.
Kibbutz life. Sounds communal. That's life. Sounds communal. I'm picturing shared bathrooms and arguments over who used the last of the communal hummus. But seriously, it's a cool concept, and you can find accommodation in kibbutzim, from guest houses to longer-term stays. It's definitely a different vibe from a Tel Aviv penthouse, that's for sure.
From ancient courtyards in Iran to communal living in Israel. And then those shiny Tel Aviv apartments, it's a whole spectrum of options. And quality-wise, well, in Iran, it can be a bit more varied, shall we say. You might find a hidden gem, or you might find character.
Character is code for bring your own toolbox. Mate, Iran, quality can be a bit of a lottery. You might get a palace for the price of a shed, or a shed for the price of a palace, depending on your luck and your haggling skills. Oaks! In Israel, generally, the quality is higher, especially in the cities. Western standards, you know the drill.
Western standards, yes, but also Western prices. Ouch. So, for accommodation in Iran and Israel, it really depends on what you're looking for. Do you want history and affordability with maybe a bit of character? Iran might be calling your name. Or do you want modern, high quality, and are willing to pay for it? Then Israel, especially Tel Aviv, could be your spot.
So I think the Mitten Karpivat. Exactly. A magic carpet tried in a historical palace or a robot vacuum cleaner in a swarky apartment. Both have their charms. Just depends on your taste, your budget, and how much you like vacuuming yourself. And for more details on where to find these magical carpets and robot cleaners, don't forget to check out Jeddah Fair. We've got all the info to help you decide where to unpack your suitcase.
Yes, Jeddah AI is your friend in accommodation decisions. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if you're enjoying our roof-related enjoyings. Maybe we should do a whole episode just on roofs sometime. Roof quality in different countries some. Okay, maybe not. But accommodation is key. And hopefully we've given you a little taste of what to expect in Iran and Israel. Okay, Leo. So let's chat about something super fun, visa applications. Just kidding. But seriously, for anyone dreaming of living abroad, figuring out the visa situation is like the ultimate adulting challenge, right?
Adulting challenge? Mira, you make it sound like assembling IKEA furniture. It's more like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while riding a unicycle. And sometimes the unicycle is on fire. Bureaucracy, the gift that keeps on giving.
Maybe a bit more dramatic than IKEA. But let's get into it. Iran and Israel, right? Two amazing places, totally different vibes. But both have doors you need a special key to unlock. If you're not a local.
Visa, please make it easiness. I like that, Mira. Should be a new Olympic sport. For Iran, getting a tourist visa can be an experience. Let's just say, you can't exactly decide on a Tuesday. Hey, let's pop over to Tehran for the weekend. Spontaneity takes a backseat way back.
Fein man, plan months in advance. Fill out forms that look like ancient scrolls. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get a yes. Aha! But hey, think of it as building anticipation. Like waiting for the best surprise party ever. Ooh, and for some nationalities, you might need a tour guide. Which honestly, could be amazing. Imagine having a local expert showing you all the secret spots.
Secret spots? Or mandatory spots? Let's be real, Mira. Guided tour can sometimes translate to proposed itinerary. Optional. But hey, at least you're seeing the country right. I bet they still use typewriters with ribbons that need changing every 5 pages.
Typewriters, classic. But picture this, Leo. You're finally in Iran, after all that visa tango. Imagine the stories you'll have. Oh, This visa, let me tell you, it was a journey in itself. Wow, makes your trip sound even more epic, don't you think?
Epic paperwork saga followed by an epic trip. Sure, if you frame it that way. But for some, epic paperwork saga might just be epic paperwork frustration. And don't forget, things can change quickly with visa policies. Always double check the latest info, folks. Or you might end up at the airport doing the visa limbo.
Nobody wants to be stuck in visa limbo. Okay, switching gears to Israel. Now, Israel's visa policy is, let's say, depends on where you're from, your background, and maybe even what you had for breakfast that morning.
Depends is putting it mildly, Mira. For some nationalities, it's visa-free entry, easy peasy. For others, let's just say security checks can be more thorough than a dentist appointment. And if you've got stamps from certain countries in your passport, well, let's just say you're welcome, that might be a bit prickly.
Pricky welcome, Matt. Ouch. But hey, think of it as extra security. You know they're serious about keeping things safe. And for those who can get in visa-free bonus, instant adventure awaits. Ooh, just pack your bags and go. Almost as spontaneous as a Tuesday trip to Tehran. Almost.
Almost is the key word there, Mira. Even for visa-free entry to Israel, you might still face some detailed questioning at the border. Where are you going? Why are you going? What's your mother's maiden name and favorite color? You know, the usual casual chat. Just be prepared for a little.
I love it. I love it. So maybe both Iran and Israel are not exactly winning awards for easiest visa processes. But hey, the best things in life are worth working for, right? And navigating a bit of bureaucracy just makes you appreciate that arrival stamp even more.
Appreciate the arrival stamp. That's one way to look at it. Or you could just appreciate countries with online visa applications, and minimal paperwork. Just saying. But yeah, for Iran and Israel, do your homework, start early, and maybe pack a stress ball for the application process. You might need it.
Stress ball. Essential travel gear. And definitely check out resources like Jet Off AI, right? They've got tons of info on visa stuff, immigration tips, all that grown-up, practical travel jazz. So you can at least go into it knowing what you're getting into.
Absolutely. Jet Off AI is your friend in the visa jungle. Knowledge is power, people. And maybe a good lawyer, depending on your passport situation. But hey, who needs easy, right? A little bureaucratic obstacle course builds character. Or at least, it builds a good story for your next podcast appearance. Thanks, Bureaucracy, for the comedic material.
Always finding the humor, Leo. That's why we love you. So, long story short, visa ease for Iran and Israel. Let's just say challenging is a polite word, but totally worth it for the adventure, the culture, and the stories, right?
Challenging but worth it, Mira. I'll go with that, Mira, as long as worth it includes a very strong coffee and a very large glass of wine at the end of the visa application marathon. And maybe a stand-up comedy show about the whole ordeal. That's definitely worth it. On that note, let's move on to something less.
Our current topic, we compare access to and quality of health services into countries, examining healthcare through an expat lens. From systems desk to cultural nuances and everything in between. It's like asking, if you get a bubo, where do you want to be?
Bubo? Mira, you're making it sound like we're comparing kindergarten first aid kits. But yeah, healthcare. Serious business, even for comedians who often feel immortal until they throw their back out laughing too hard. So, Iran versus Israel, health-wise, let's dive in, shall we?
Now, Israel is known for its advanced medical technology, right? Like, if you need a robotic surgeon, they'd probably have a whole team of them playing poker in the break room. I bet they even have robot nurses that tell you jokes.
Robot nurses telling jokes. Sounds like a stand-up routine waiting to happen. Hey, Israel definitely has a reputation for top-notch medical care, especially in certain specialized fields. You hear about medical tourism there, people flying in for treatments. It's like healthcare with a side of hummus and sunshine.
Hummus and sunshine healthcare. I love it. And Iran, on the other hand, has been making strides in medical research too, despite, everything. I've heard they're quite good at certain types of surgeries, and some say their doctors are incredibly dedicated. It's like, we will fix you, even if we have to walk uphill both ways in the snow. Wow.
Uphill both ways in the snow, that's dedication. Although, snow in Iran? Maybe in the mountains? But point taken. Iran has a large public healthcare system, and they've been focusing on expanding access, especially in rural areas. Think of it as healthcare for everyone, from Tehran, wherever rests furthest from Tehran.
When we talk about access, it's not just about hospitals being there, is it? It's also about, can you actually get in there, is it? It's also about, can you actually get in to see a doctor without waiting longer than it takes to binge watch a whole series? Though, I've heard wait times can be an issue in both places, depending on what you need.
Bingo, Mira. Wait times are the universal language of healthcare frustration. In Israel, while the quality is high, the system can be stretched, especially in public hospitals. It's like everyone wants the top-tier treatment, which is understandable, but then the line gets long. Think of it as a VIP lounge with a very, very long velvet trope.
AV lounge with a velvet trope, perfect analogy, Leo. Because the public system is so broad, it can also get crowded, right? And maybe the facilities aren't always as shiny and new as in some places. It's like functional versus fancy. But functional gets the job done, hopefully.
Functional versus fancy, another great way to put it. Iran's public system is definitely more about providing essential care to a lot of people. Think reliable, if maybe not always Ritz-Carlton level. And of course, both countries have private healthcare options for those who want quicker access or more luxurious cough velvet tropes.
Luxurious velvet tropes are back. So, for expats looking at health insurance, what's the deal? I imagine in Israel, you can get pretty comprehensive private insurance, but it might cost you a shekel or two or 1,000. Oops.
A shekel or Tamira, your always understating things. A Israeli private health insurance is definitely available, and it can be quite good, covering a wide range of services and reducing those wait times. But yeah, it's not exactly budget-friendly. Think of it as paying for that Fast the Medical theme park.
Medical theme park Fast Pass. That's brilliant. And in Iran, is private insurance common for expats? Or do most people rely on the public system? I'm picturing expats trying to navigate medical forms in Farsi woe. That sounds like a comedy sketch in itself.
Forms in Farsi, now you're talking my language. In Iran, expats often use private health insurance, or sometimes employer-provided plans. It can make things smoother, especially if you're not fluent in Farsi. And yes, navigating any bureaucracy in a foreign language, that's where the real adventure begins.
The adventure of paperwork. And speaking of language, what about English-speaking doctors? In Israel, I'm guessing it's pretty easy to find doctors who speak English, especially in bigger cities. It's a very international place, right?
Israel is pretty good for English-speaking doctors, especially in major cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. It's a very international medical community. You can usually find someone who speaks English without too much trouble. Think of it as a healthcare melts trouble.
A healthcare melting pot. Lovely. And Iran? Is it more of a Farsi-speaking zone in hospitals? I mean, I'm sure there are doctors who speak English, but maybe not as widely available. Could be a bit more challenging for expats who haven't mastered Farsi yet.
Iran is definitely more Farsi-centric in healthcare. You can find English-speaking doctors, especially in private clinics in Tehran and other major cities, but it might take a bit more searching. Let's just say your Google Translate app might get a workout. Learning some basic Farsi medical phrases might be a wise move for expats there.
Google translating Farsi medical phrases sounds like a crash course in survival. But seriously, access and quality, it sounds like both countries have decent healthcare systems, just with different strengths and challenges, especially for expats. It's all about knowing what to expect, right?
Exactly, Mira. Both Iran and Israel offer access to healthcare, and both have capable medical professionals. Israel leans towards cutting-edge tech and maybe quicker access for those with private insurance, while Iran focuses on broader public access and potentially more affordable costs, though maybe with longer waits and less Sahin velvet. It really depends on your priorities, your budget, and how much you enjoy medical paperwork, which...
Medical paperwork enjoyment is a criterion. You've added a new dimension to our comparisons, Leo. Well, for anyone watching this on YouTube, if you've had any hilarious or less hilarious healthcare experiences as an expat in Iran or Israel, share them in the comments. We'd love to hear your stories. Ooh.
Yes, share your stories, especially the funny paperwork ones. Those are gold. And if you're planning a move in healthcare is on your mind, check out Jet Off AI for more info, maybe without the sarcasm mostly. Because even comedians need good health insurance.
Even joke machines need tune-ups. So, that's healthcare in Iran and Israel, a fascinating comparison with a few laughs sprinkled in. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed our medical humor. Bye for now.
Bye everyone. Stay healthy, stay humorous, and maybe learn a little Farsi just in case. Oh! And a big thanks to Jet Off AI for keeping us, and hopefully you are informed and entertained. And till next time.
All right, Leo. Buckle up, or maybe should I say, put on your seatbelt, because we are now diving into the world of transportation, infrastructure, and convenience. Think of it as our travelogue, but instead of scenic views, we are checking out the buses and trains.
Buses and trains, Mira? Sounds thrilling. I can already picture myself reviewing bus schedules like they are the latest stand-up comedy scripts. But, hey, someone's got to do the dirty work of comparing commutes, right? Let's roll. Or should I say, let's roll.
So, let's kick things off with Iran. Now, picture this, you're in a bustling Iranian city, maybe Tehran. They've got a pretty extensive metro system, right? I hear it's quite the experience, especially during rush hour. Imagine being packed in like spices in a Persian bazaar. Ooh.
Spices in a bazaar, Mira? Sounds aromatic and potentially claustrophobic. I'm picturing less organized commute and Tetris. But hey, at least you're getting close to people. Maybe you will pick up some Farsi phrases by osmosis. What about Israel, though? Do they also have the human Tetris experience? Or is it more of a relaxed beach stroll on public transport?
Israel, from what I gather, has a more modern and perhaps slightly less packed public transport feel in places like Tel Aviv. They've got their trains and buses, and even a light rail in Jerusalem, which sounds pretty neat for getting around the holy city. Less spice bazaar, maybe more organized spice rack.
Organized spice rack. I like that, Mira. So Israel is going for the orderly approach, while Iran is embracing the beautiful chaos of human proximity. Makes sense, but what about getting out of the cities? Are we talking magic carpets or something more down to earth?
Magic carpets would be amazing, Lear, but probably not the most reliable for the daily commute. For intercity travel in Iran, buses are a big deal. I hear. They're comfy, they're affordable, and they get you pretty much everywhere. Think of them as Iran's long-distance huggers, taking you across the country.
Long-distance huggers, Mira. You're really selling these Iranian buses. I'm picturing a bus driver offering you tea and dried fruit as you cruise through the desert. In Israel, though, I guess it's more about cars and trains for getting around, right? Are we talking high-speed rail or more of a scenic route kind of vibe?
Well, Israel's got its share of highways, and car ownership is pretty common. They're definitely more interpersonal vehicles and trains for longer distances. Maybe less long-distance hug and more independent journey with air conditioning. But what about the roads themselves, Leo? Are we talking smooth sailing or more of an off-road adventure in either country?
Off-road adventure, Mira? Now you're talking my language. Although, for transportation convenience, maybe smooth sailing is preferable. Imagine Israeli roads are generally in good nick. They've got that developed nation thing going on. Iran, with its vast landscapes, probably has a bit more of a mixed bag. From highways to, well, let's just say character-building roads.
Character building roads, Leo? I love it. It's all about the journey, right? In Iran, you might get a story to tell about that bumpy bus ride. And in Israel, you might just get to your destination on time and in comfort. But both have their perks. But what about airports? For international travelers, that's usually the first impression, isn't it?
Airports, the glamorous gateways to adventure. Or, let's be honest, sometimes just gateways to long queues and overpriced coffee. Israel's got Ben Gurion, which is pretty modern and international, I believe. Iran, with its size, probably has a few major international airports, though perhaps with a slightly different ambience. Am I being too subtle, Mira?
Ambience is everything, Leo. I hear Tehran's Imam Khomeini International Airport is quite significant, and they've been working on modernizing their airport infrastructure too. Maybe less airport chic and more airport. Charm? It's all about perspective, right?
Airport charm, Mira. And not sure I've ever associated charm with an airport, unless you count the charm of finally getting through security without setting off the alarm. But hey, maybe Iranian airports have that unexpected hidden gem vibe. In terms of convenience for travelers, though, how do they stack up overall?
Oh, in Israel, especially in Tel Aviv, getting around as a tourist is generally pretty straightforward. English is widely spoken, signs are often in multiple languages, and public transport is relatively easy to navigate. Tourist-friendly convenience check.
Tourist-friendly check. Sounds efficient if perhaps a tad predictable. Iran, on the other hand, might be a bit more of an adventure for the uninitiated traveler. Less English, maybe a bit more local flavor when it comes to figuring things out. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? Embrace the beautiful confusion.
Exactly, Leah. Embrace the beautiful confusion. In Iran, asking locals for directions could turn into a impromptu conversation, maybe even an invitation for tea. It's a different kind of convenience. Maybe human connection convenience?
Human connection convenience? Mira, you've coined a new phrase. So, Israel offers streamlined, efficient travel, while Iran offers a more immersive, potentially tea and conversation experience. It really just depends what kind of adventure you're after, doesn't it?
Whether you prefer the organized spice rack or the bustling bazaar, both Iran and Israel offer unique ways to get around and explore. And hey, at least neither of them are proposing magic carpets for public transport yet.
Yet, Mira, yet. Don't give them ideas. Though I have to admit, a magic carpet commute does sound conveniently absurd. Maybe we should pitch that to Jeddah Faye.
Jeddah carpets. Now that's innovation. Maybe we can even get discounts if we mention we heard about it on this very podcast. But for now, it seems like both Iran and Israel have their own unique transportation vibes, catering to different tastes and travel styles. And that's the beauty of it.
Indeed, Mira. From humanetous metros to character-building roads, and from organized spice racks to bustling bazaars of buses, both countries offer a journey, literally and figuratively. And for those trying to decide which transport venture suits them best, well, hopefully we've given them a few routes to consider. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this ride, folks.
Like and subscribe, and maybe leave a comment about your own craziest transportation story. We'd love to hear them. And who knows, maybe Jeddah Faye will even feature your story on their site. Ooh, until next time, happy travels everyone, and may your commutes be entertaining, at the very least. Our current topic, we compare language barriers and ease of communication into countries. From language diversity stats to cultural communication norms and expat experiences. It's all about how easily you can chat and get around, right, Leo?
Right you are, Mira. It's like, can you just stroll up to someone on Dask for directions? Or are you gonna need a whole phrase book and maybe a mime artist on standby? Or are the countries today? Iran and Israel. It's a fascinating linguistic puzzle box.
Oh, a puzzle box. I love puzzles. So, first up, Iran. Persian or Farsi is the official language, right? It sounds so beautiful and poetic, like something out of 1001 Nights.
Absolutely. Farsi is gorgeous, no doubt. But it's not just Farsi, is it? Iran is linguistically pretty diverse. You've got Azerbaijani spoken by a significant chunk of the population, Kurdish in the west. It's a real language buffet. Makes you wonder what language food menus are in.
A language buffet. I love that. So, if you're wandering around Iran, well, I hear all these languages swirling around like spices in a delicious stew. Oh,
You definitely might, especially if you travel beyond the major cities. But Farsi is the lingua franca, the common tongue that holds it all together. Think of it like the rice and that's too essential and everywhere.
okay, Farsi rice stew. Got it. And what about Israel? Hebrew is the main language, yes. Sounds so ancient and cool, like talking history. Wow.
Hebrew is indeed the official language, revived and modernized, which is a story in itself. But Israel, much like Iran, is a melting pot. You've got to be quietly spoken, especially by Arab citizens. And then, because of immigration, you hear Russian, English. It's quite the global village.
A global village. So, in Israel, it's less of a stew and more of a language salad, with all sorts of delicious ingredients tossed together.
Language salad. I like that. Yeah, Israel is a vibrant mix. And English, surprisingly, plays a pretty big role in both countries. Wouldn't you say, Mira?
Oh, definitely. Especially in touristy areas, right? Like, if I try out my very best to allow in broken Farsi or Hebrew, will they just smile politely and dance to me in perfect English? Oops.
Quite possibly. In tourist hotspots in both Iran and Israel, you'll often find people in hotels, restaurants, and tourist sites who speak English. It's like the international language of "Can I help you with your selfie stick?" Aha!
Selfie stick assistance. That should be a recognized language. But what about getting off the beaten path? If I venture beyond the tourist bubble, how easy is communication then?
That's where things get a bit more adventurous. In both Iran and Israel, outside of tourist zones, English proficiency drops off. You might need to rely on gestures, translation apps, or the kindness of strangers who know a little English.
Ooh, I'm good at charades. I can run Lost Tourist in at least 5 different styles. But seriously, are there any cultural communication norms we should know about in Iran and Israel? Like, is directness appreciated? Or is it more polite to beat around the bush?
Good question, Mira. In Iranian culture, there's this concept called ta'i, it's a system of politeness and etiquette, sometimes involving elaborate offers and refusals. It can be a bit like a dance.
Sounds graceful, but also potentially confusing if you don't know the steps. Like, if someone offers me tea, do I have to refuse 3 times before accepting? Oops.
Something like that. It's all about showing respect and humility. But don't worry, Iranians are generally very patient and understanding with foreigners navigating ta'i. They appreciate the effort.
Patient and understanding, that's good to know. And Israel, are they more direct? Or do they have their own communication dance?
Israelis are generally known for being more direct, more let's cut to the chase. It can sometimes be perceived as blunt, especially if you're used to more indirect communication styles. But it's not meant to be rude. It's just a cultural difference. Think of it as efficient communication.
Efficient communication. Okay, so in Iran, it's the politeness dance. And in Israel, it's the efficiency sprint. Both have their charms, I guess. Both, for expats living there, what's the language learning scene like? Easy to find classes? Willing teachers?
In both Iran and Israel, you can find language classes, especially in larger cities. Hebrew pans in Israel are quite well known for language learning. And in Iran, there are Farsi language centers too. It's all about how motivated you are to dive in.
Motivated to dive in and maybe armed with a good phrasebook and a lot of patience. So, wrapping it up, language barriers and ease of communication in Iran and Israel both are linguistically rich and diverse. English helps in tourist areas, But venturing further means brushing up on Farsi or Hebrew, or getting really good at charades.
Precisely, Mira. And understanding a bit about the cultural communication styles can go a long way. Whether it's the Thai or of dance in Iran or the efficiency sprint in Israel, it's all part of the experience. Just remember, a smile and a genuine attempt to communicate, even if it's just pointing and gesturing wildly, often bridges any language gap.
Gesturing wildly and maybe carrying snacks to offer as a peace offering sounds like my kind of communication strategy. Well, that's language barriers on ease of communication in Iran and Israel covered. What's next on our comparative adventure, Leo? Alright, Leo. Let's dive into cultural diversity and tolerance. It sounds a bit serious, but knowing us, we'll probably find a way to make it fun, right?
Mira, you can make tax audits sound fun. But yeah, cultural diversity and tolerance. Sounds like a UN meeting topic, doesn't it? Let's see if we can spice it up a bit for our YouTube audience.
Think vibrant markets, delicious food from everywhere, music that makes you want to dance even if you have to lift feet. Ooh, that's what cultural diversity should be, a big party.
A party with potential for a food fight, maybe. Diversity is great in theory, but in practice, it's like trying to get cats and dogs to agree on the TV channel.
Oh, come on, Leo. You are such a cynic. Think about Iran, for example. It's not just Persians, you know. There are Kurds, Azeris, Arabs, and more. It's like a human rainbow. Wow.
A rainbow with some slightly different shades that don't always blend perfectly, Mira. Iran has its historical tapestry for sure, but let's not pretend it's always been a harmonious choir.
True, no place is perfect. But look at Israel. Talk about a melting pot. Jews from all over the world, plus Arabs, Druze, Bedouins. It's like a global reunion in one tiny country.
A reunion where everyone brought their own playlist and keeps arguing about whose is better, perhaps. Israel's diversity is undeniable, but tolerance. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Well, think about the food again. Iranian cuisine is incredible, right? And Israeli food is this amazing mix of Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, and Jewish flavors. It's like a delicious lesson in history.
Yes, the universal language of diplomacy. But let's remember, sharing a hummus plate doesn't automatically solve centuries-old disagreements. Still, tasty hummus is a start.
Sure than just hummus, Leo. It's about different perspectives, different ways of seeing the world. That's what makes life interesting. Oh. And Jad off AI. People are always asking about experiencing different cultures.
Indeed. Genofea is all about broadening horizons, and understanding cultural diversity is definitely part of that journey. Just be prepared for a few culture clashes along the way.
But even those clashes can be funny sometimes, right? Like that time I tried to use chopsticks in Japan and ended up wearing more noodles than I ate. It's all part of the learning experience.
See, Mira turns a chopstick disaster into a life lesson. They'd probably just blame the chopsticks. But Yuri right, those moments, even the awkward ones, they teach you something.
And when we share these stories on YouTube, people connect with them. They see that everyone is different, but everyone is also human. It builds empathy, right?
Hopefully. YouTube comments can be a wild west of opinions, though. But yes, sharing experiences, even the messy ones, can help people understand each other a bit better.
Cultural diversity and tolerance. It's not always easy. It's not always perfectly worth striving for. And maybe, just maybe, a good laugh can help bridge some gaps along the way.
Maybe. Or at least a good cup of coffee afterwards to process it all. And for our listeners, if you want to dive deeper into cultural topics, check off AI's resources, and YouTube has.
Okay, Leo. Let's chat about schools and Smart Peyton's kids for a bit. I mean, educational opportunities and language schools in Iran and Israel. Sounds like a brainy showdown, right?
Brainy showdown? More like a textbook tug-of-war, Mira. But hey, let's see if we can make even textbooks sound funny. So, education in Iran and Israel? Where do we even start? maybe with who can actually read the textbooks.
Literacy rates. Apparently, both Iran and Israel are pretty high up there, which is awesome. It's like, who needs magic wands when you have books, am I right? Iran's made huge strides in literacy since, way back when. Talk about a glow up.
Glow up? Mira, you're making literacy sound like a cop star. But yeah, Iran's literacy jump is impressive. From, like, practically zero to almost everyone reading. That's some serious homework dedication. Israel's been literate for ages, I guess. It's round the book and all that. Though maybe they should write a book on how not to spill coffee.
Oh, Leo, always with the coffee spills. But speaking of dedication, both countries are known for really valuing education, right? Like, parents pushing their kids to study hard. Maybe a little too hard sometimes? I bet there are some intense study groups happening in both places.
Intense study groups. Picture this: Iranian students fueled by strong tea and pistachios, locked in a room debating ancient Persian poetry. And Israeli students, powered by hummus and strong opinions, arguing about quantum physics. Whoa, sounds like a caffeine and brain power explosion waiting to happen.
Can we get tickets to that showdown? But seriously, innovative teaching methods are a big deal now too. Are Iran and Israel keeping up with the cool kids in education? Ditching the old calcboards and bringing in the robots and VR headsets?
Robots and VR headsets? Mira, are we talking about schools or a SIFI convention? But yeah, Israel is definitely known for its tech scene, so I bet their schools are pretty future forward. Iran maybe less so, but they've got some seriously smart cookies in engineering and science. Probably building their own robots and secret labs.
Secret robot labs in Iran? Now you're talking. Wow! Imagine accidentally stumbling into one of those on your travels. But student talent, that's the real spice, isn't it? Both countries have produced some seriously impressive brain power in all sorts of fields. Like Nobel Prize levels of impressive.
Nobel Prize levels. Mira, you're making me feel like I should have paid more attention in school. Oops. But yeah, Israel's got a bunch of Nobel laureates, especially in science. Iran, maybe not as many Nobel Prizes, but they've got some serious talent in, like, math and philosophy. Maybe they're just too busy pondering the meaning of life to bother with Nobel committees.
Pondering the meaning of life instead of winning Nobel Prizes? That's actually kind of cool, in a philosophical way. But what about language schools? If people want to learn Persian or Hebrew, where do they go? Are there co-language schools in Tehran and Tel Aviv?
Language schools. Tehran, you could probably find some places to learn Persian, though maybe not with giant flashing neon signs advertising learn Farsi. Become a poet. Tel Aviv, definitely tons of Hebrew schools. Probably some with beach views, because why not learn a language while getting a tan?
Beach views and Hebrew lessons? Sounds like my kind of school. Oh, learning Persian in Tehran sounds pretty amazing too. Imagine wandering through ancient bazaars and actually understanding what everyone's saying. Wow, maybe we should both sign up for language courses for research purposes. Of course.
Research purposes, naturally. Yeah, imagine us trying to learn Hebrew and Persian. Me, probably just ordering coffee in 10 different sarcastic tones. And you, Mira, probably making friends with everyone and learning all the local dance moves in both languages.
Dance, moves, and languages, that's my jam. But seriously, education and language skills are super important for connecting with people and cultures, right? It's like the ultimate superpower for travelers.
Ultimate superpower. Okay, Mira, now you are making textbooks sound like comic books. But you're right. Knowing a language opens up a whole new world. Even if that world sometimes involves accidentally ordering octopus soup. Speaking of which, are we done with brainy stuff? My brain needs a coffee break.
Sounds good to me. Let's get some caffeine and brainstorm our next topic. Maybe nightlife in Tehran versus Tel Aviv? Now, that's a showdown I want to see. All right, Leo, let's talk weather. But not just any weather, we're diving into the climate and seasons of Iran and Israel. Get ready for a geographical roller coaster.
Weather, huh? Sounds thrilling. I hope it's more exciting than watching paint dry, Mira. But okay, fine. Let's see if we can make climate comparisons mildly amusing for our YouTube audience.
Nia, weather is ALWAS amusing. Remember that time in Miami when it rained for 5 minutes and Deverolla's ending? Anyway, Iran and Israel, climate-wise, but don't think for a second they were the twins.
Weather twins? More like distant cousins who awkwardly meet at family reunions once a decade. Israel, you know, small, Mediterranean-ish. Iran, on the other hand, is like a weather buffet. You want mountains, deserts, coastline? Iran's got the whole menu. Wow.
Iran is HUG compared to Israel. Think about it, Leo. You could fit like, what, 20 Israels into Iran? Maybe more. So naturally, their weather is going to be wildly different. It's like comparing a Chihuahua to a Great Dane.
Chihuahua to a Great Dane. Fitting analogy, Mira. Though, I'm not sure which one is which in this climate scenario. Maybe Israel is the Chihuahua small, yappy, and mostly sunny? And Iran, the Great Dane, big imposing with a bark that changes depending on which part of the yard you're in.
I'm picturing a yappy, sunny Chihuahua now. But seriously, Israel is mostly Mediterranean climate, right? Nice, mild, wet winters and hot, dry summers. Perfect beach weather for, about 9 months of the year.
9 months of beach weather? Sounds suspiciously close to paradise, Mira. Too good to be true. There's gotta be a catch. Maybe the beaches are just packed with overly tanned tourists. Oh, but yeah, you're right. Israel's pretty consistent sunny, warm, good for growing oranges and attracting sunburns.
Sunburns are definitely a catch. But think about Iran, Leo. You've got the Caspian Sea coast in the north, lush and green, almost subtropical. Then you go south, and the desert. Scorching hot desert. It's climate whiplash. Whoa!
Climate whiplash. I love it, Mira. That should be a travel brochure slogan for Iran Experience Climate Whiplash. Imagine packing for that trip. Swimsuit for the Caspian, parka for the mountains, and a what do you wear in the desert? Besides copious amounts of sunscreen and a hat that makes you look like Lawrence of Arabia.
It's a packing nightmare. But think of the variety. You could ski in the Alpes Mountains in winter, and then drive south and be in the Persian Gulf sweating in the same week. That's efficient tourism. Wow.
Maximizing your climate experience per vacation day? Brilliant, Mira. We should pitch that to Jet Off A. Jet Off A. Hey, in Israel. Well, you mostly just need to pack shorts and flip-flops. Maybe a light jacket for those brisk desert evenings?
Brisk desert evenings. Okay, maybe not brisk, but they do cool down, right? But back to Iran, the temperature extremes are wild. Like in summer, some parts can hit over 50 degrees Celsius. That's like oven temperature. Ouch!
Oven temperature. Perfect for slow roasting a tourist. 50 degrees Celsius, that's when you start questioning your life choices, Mira. And I bet in winter, those Iranian mountains get properly snowy. Like build an igloo and hibernate snowy. Whoa.
Totally igloo and hibernate snowy. And Israel, while it does get rain and even snow in the north sometimes, it's generally pretty mild, even in winter. You're more likely to need an umbrella than a snow shovel in Tel Aviv.
Umbrella versus snow shovel, another stark contrast. It's like the weather is actively trying to highlight the differences between these two places. Almost feels deliberate. Are we sure climate isn't sentient and just messing with us?
Now there's a podcast topic for another day. But for now, let's just say if you're a fan of predictable, sunny weather, Israel is your jam. If you're an adventurous weather explorer who likes a bit of everything, maybe even a sandstorm more than Iran is calling your name,
Sandstorms, right? I almost forgot about those. Iran probably is sandstorms. Israel maybe a light dust flurry if you're unlucky. See, even the extreme weather events are different. It's like Iran's weather is trying to be dramatic and Israel's is just chill.
Chill is the perfect word for Israel's weather. And Iran's weather is definitely going for drama. Maybe we should recommend people check the weather forecasts like every hour if they're traveling around Iran. Oops.
Hourly weather checks in Iran. Sounds less like a vacation, more like a strategic military operation. But hey, some people are into that kind of thing. For the rest of us, there's always sunny and predictable Israel. Just remember the sunscreen. And maybe a slightly larger hat.
Efficient sun protection. And for Iran, maybe bring a whole weather forecasting team. But seriously, both countries have amazing climates in their own way. It just depends what kind of weather adventure you're after. And for more travel tips, don't forget to check out Jet Off AI, where you can plan your climate whiplash. Oh,
Climate whiplash or chill vacation. Mira, you're a marketing genius. And yes, folks, Jet Off AI is the place to go whether he's seeking predictable sunshine or a full-blown meteorological adventure. Just back accordingly. And maybe bring a comedian for more support.
morals support comedians are always essential travel companions. And that's our climate comparison for today. If you enjoyed this weather chat, give us a like on YouTube and subscribe for more geographical giggles.
Geographical Giggles. I'm starting to think we should just rename this podcast Geographical Giggles. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment, tell us your favorite weather anecdote, maybe even your worst sunburn story. Ouch. And we'll catch you in the next episode, folks. Stay climatically aware.
Our current topic, we compare food, culture, and nutritional alternatives into countries. From culinary heritage to dietary diversity and innovative food solutions, we should really dig in. Shouldn't we, Leo? Oh, I'm already hungry just thinking about it.
Hungry? Mira, you're always hungry. Hey, but alright, food culture, you're on Israel. Sounds like we're about to embark on a culinary adventure. Or maybe a food fight, who knows? Let's see if we can digest this topic without any indigestion.
I like your style, Leo. A friendly food fight, okay? Okay, food fight, okay. More like a delicious duel of dishes. So, Iran and Israel. Two countries with ancient histories, and you know what that means, ancient recipes. Well, think about Persian cuisine, Leo. All those fragrant herbs and spices. It's like a symphony in your mouth.
Symphony in your mouth? Mira, you're so poetic about food. But you're right, Persian cuisine is something else. All those stews, cabbage, rice dishes. It's like they took all the good flavors in the world and blended them together. It's definitely not just fuel, it's an art form, wouldn't you say?
Art form, absolutely. And so colorful too. Like, have you seen a properly made Persian Kehor's HT? It's like a painting you can eat. Ooh, and the saffron rice. It's sunshine on a plate. Makes you want to learn Persian just to order food properly.
Learn Persian? Mira, you say that about every cuisine. Last week it was Italian, before that Japanese. Bia, saffron rice. Good point. It's like they're saying, hey, even rice can be fancy. It's not just a side dish. It's not just a side dish or microwave rice. Look utterly depressing.
Oh, you're killing me. B, you need to experience real rice, Leo. Imagine Iranian tea, each dig that crispy golden crust at the bottom of the rice pot. It's like the treasure at the end of a rice rainbow. Oh, people actually fight over who gets the tea each dig.
Fight over rice crust? Sounds intense, even for foodies. But I get it, crispy bits are always the best. It's like the burnt ends of barbecue or the corner brownie piece. People get territorial about those crunchy edges. Maybe TAH Dig is the king of crunchy edges?
King of crunchy edges. I love it, Leo. You're getting it. And then you have Israeli cuisine, which is also amazing in its own way. It's like a melting pot of flavors, right? Because Israel is such a diverse country. Wow.
Melting pot is right. Israeli food is like, let's take influences from everywhere in the Middle East, North Africa, Europe, and throw it all in a pot and see what happens. And surprisingly, it works. Oh, hummus, falafel, shakshuka. It's all comfort food with a kick.
Comfort food with a kick. Exactly. And so fresh. All those salads and vegetables. Israeli breakfasts are legendary. Imagine hummus, baba, and gha new sage, fresh pita, olives, cheeses. It's a feast to start your day. Makes your usual cereal look well, you know.
My cereal? Mira, are you always going to attack my breakfast choices? But yeah, Israeli breakfasts are something else. It's like they're saying, let's start the day with a party on a plate. So much flavor and texture. And don't forget the Laban EH, that creamy strained yogurt. It's addictive.
Laban EH, like velvet for your mouth. And the olives. Oh my goodness, the olives in that region are just bursting with flavor. It's like they've been marinating in sunshine and good vibes. You can just eat olives and pita all day and be happy.
Olives and pita all day? Mira, you're reliving the dream. But yeah, the quality of ingredients in both Iranian and Israeli food is top-notch. Fresh produce, spices that actually smell like something it's a whole different level compared to some bland supermarket stuff.
Totally. And speaking of ingredients, both countries are really embracing healthy eating and nutritional alternatives, aren't they? Like in Iran, you have all those amazing herbal teas and traditional remedies. It's like they've been doing wellness before it was even trendy. Aha!
Wellness before it was trendy. I like that, Mira. It's true, Iranian traditional medicine is no joke. All those herbs and spices are just flavor. They're supposed to be good for you too. Turmeric, ginger, mint, it's like a natural pharmacy in your spice rack.
And in Israel, with all their innovation, they're really pushing the boundaries of food tech and nutritional science, right? Like lab-grown meat, alternative proteins, all that futuristic food stuff. Whoa!
Futuristic food stuff. Israel is definitely in the food tech game. They're trying to solve world hunger, create sustainable food sources, all that serious stuff. But also, let's be honest, probably make some seriously weird and wonderful new snacks along the way. Lab-grown falafel, anyone?
Intriguing. Maybe with THD flavored lab-grown meat on the side? Oh, we're getting into some serious food fusion territory here, Leo.
Food fusion territory? Now you're talking, Mira. Imagine the possibilities. Persian-Israeli fusion cuisine. TAHD falafel with saffron hummus. Khor's HT shakshuka. Whoa, we could open a restaurant. We'd call it Persian Delicious or Israelitious Seats.
Israelitious seats. I'm in, Leo. We just need to figure out who's cooking and who's taste testing because knowing us, we'd probably just end up eating all the profits. Oops.
Eating all the profits? Sounds about right for us. But hey, at least we'd be and maybe a little bit heavy. And maybe a little bit heavier. But seriously, both Iranian and Israeli food cultures are incredible, so diverful. It's a real treat for the taste buds, wouldn't you say?
A real treat for the taste buds and a feast for the soul, Leo. They really know how to make food an experience, not just sustenance. Wow, so if you're ever traveling, make sure to eat your way through Iran and Israel. You won't regret it. Unless maybe you eat too much TA. But, is that even possible?
Eat too much TH dig. Mir, some questions are just not meant to be asked. But yeah, food in both countries is definitely a must-try. Just maybe pack some stretchy pants for the trip. You know, for research purposes.
Our current topic, we compare the historical, cultural, and artistic values of two countries. From ancient landmarks to thriving art scenes and deep-rooted traditions, we're diving into Iran and Israel. Oh, it's like comparing two treasure chests overflowing with history, but each filled with totally different jewels, right, Leah?
Jewels, huh? More like comparing a Persian carpet to well, something equally historically significant but maybe a bit less fluffy. Nah, think ancient empires versus like really ancient empires versus like really ancient empires. But yeah, Mira, nor right, both the world and Israel are absolutely gemmed with historical, cultural, and artistic goodies. Let's unpack this, shall we?
Unpack is the perfect word, because Iran, I mean Persia, is one of the oldest civilizations on Earth. Wow. We're talking Cyrus the Great, Persepolis, all that epic stuff. It's like stepping into a history book that suddenly smells like rose water and tastes like saffron. Ugh. Have you ever tried to imagine how grand Persepolis must have been back in its day, Leo?
Grand, Mira, I bet Persepolis was so grand, the ancient tourist was so grobbly complaining about the crowds even back then. But seriously, the scale of Persian history is mind-blowing. And it's not just dusty old ruins, is it? Iran's culture is still incredibly vibrant, flowing right through today's art and cinema.
And think about Persian poetry. Rumi, there is a like timeless, you know. They make you want to fall in love and then immediately write a dramatic poem about it. Ugh. I bet even you, Mr. Sarcastic Stand-Up, get a little bit romantic when you read some Persian poetry, Leo.
Romantic? Mira? The only thing that makes me romantic is a triple espresso and a deadline. But okay, even I have to admit, Persian poetry is pretty powerful stuff. It's like they invented the art of the elegant complaint, you know. My heart is broken, but at least the metaphor is beautiful.
Oh, you're teasing. But you know it's true. And then there's Persian miniature painting. Those tiny, detailed scenes are just breathtaking. It's like they managed to squeeze entire worlds onto a single page. Now, imagine having that kind of patience. I'd probably sneeze and ruin the whole thing. Oops.
Patience. Mira, patience is what you need when you're stuck in Tehran traffic. But yeah, those miniatures are incredible. It's like they were painting in Super HD centuries before we invented the technology. And the detail. You could probably spend a lifetime just staring at one of those things and still find new stuff.
And let's not forget Persian carpets. Each one is a work of art, telling stories with their intricate designs. It's like walking on history, but you really shouldn't wear your muddy shoes, right? I always wonder how many cups of tea was spilled while making just one of those carpets.
Cups of tea? Mira, I bet they powered the entire Persian economy on spilled tea while making those carpets. But you're right. They're not just carpets, they're light, woven masterpieces. And they last forever. My grandma had a Persian rug that was older than my jokes. And that's saying something.
Okay. Persia is amazing. We get it. But let's zoom over to Israel now, because their story is just as rich, but in a totally different way. We're talking about the birthplace of monotheism, Jerusalem, Dead Sea Scrolls. Whoa, it's like the history is practically vibrating there.
Vibrating history? Mira, that sounds like a new museum attraction. Experience the vibrations of history. But yeah, Israel is ancient in a completely different way. It's like, instead of sprawling empires, you have this intense, concentrated history packed into a tiny space.
And Jerusalem, oh my gosh. Jerusalem, oh my gosh. Jerusalem. It's holy to 3 major religions. Wow, that's like religiously overloaded in the best possible way. Imagine the stories those stones could tell if they could talk. They'd probably need a whole podcast series of their own.
A podcast from the stones of Jerusalem? Mira, that's actually a pretty good idea. We could call it Rock Talk. But seriously, Jerusalem is unique. It's this incredible crossroads of faiths and cultures. You can practically feel the weight of history just walking around there.
Covered in caves. These ancient texts are like a direct line to the past. It's like finding a time capsule filled with secrets from thousands of years ago. Imagine being one of the archaeologists who found them. Talk about a good day at work.
A good day at work? Mira, finding the Dead Sea Scrolls is like winning the historical lottery. I bet those archaeologists were doing the Indiana Jones happy dance for weeks. And those scrolls, they're not just older like foundational texts for entire religions. Seriously powerful stuff.
And then there's Israeli art and literature today. It's so vibrant and modern, but also deeply connected to its history and traditions. It's like they're constantly reinventing themselves while still staying true to their roots. Oh, have you seen any cool Israeli films lately, Leo?
Israeli films. Mira, I mostly watch cat videos. Mira, I mostly watch cat videos. But I know what you mean. Israeli culture today is super dynamic. It's like this constant conversation between the ancient and the modern, the religious and the secular.
Fascinating. And Israeli music too. From traditional klezmer to modern pop, it's such a mix of influences. It's like a global jam session happening in one tiny country. I bet even you, mister, I only listen to the sound of my own jokes, can appreciate some Israeli music, right?
Hey, I have diverse musical tastes. I listen to elevator music too. But seriously, Israeli music is definitely interesting. It's got this energy, this mix of old and new, like you said. It's like the soundtrack to a country that's constantly evolving.
We look at Iran and Israel's historical, cultural, and artistic values side by side. It's like seeing two completely different, but equally amazing masterpieces, right? One is this grand, ancient empire with flowing poetry and intricate art, and the other is this intense, historically packed land with a vibrant modern culture. Wow.
Masterpiece is a good word for it, Mira. It's like comparing a grand palace to a really, really important archaeological dig site. Both are incredible, both are valuable, but they tell very different stories. And both, let's be honest, probably require a lot more than just one podcast episode to truly explore.
We could probably do a whole series, just on Persian poet versus Israeli folk dance. For now, I think we've given our listeners a taste of just how historically, culturally, and artistically rich both you are, and maybe made them a little bit curious to explore more themselves.
Exactly, Mira. And if you're planning a trip to either Iran or Israel for the history and culture, well, maybe check out Jet Off AI for some travel tips. Just saying. And if you like this chat, folks, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It's like giving us a virtual cup of Persian tea or maybe some Israeli hummus.
Hummus and tea. Perfect. And don't forget to tell us in the comments which country's historical and cultural vibe intrigues you more. Iran's ancient grandeur or Israel's intense history. We're super curious to know. And thank you again to Jet Off AI for supporting our historical deep dives.
Yeah, massive thanks to Jet Off AI. And to you, dear listeners, for joining us on this historical adventure. Until next time, keep exploring, keep laughing, and maybe try some hummus with a side of Persian poetry.
Our current topic, we compare the natural beauties and landscapes of two countries. From stunning mountains to serene coastlines and rare ecosystems, we explore their scenic wonders. Discover Iran and Israel with us. Discover Iran and Israel was imagine myself in a Bollywood movie, suddenly breaking into song amidst some majestic mountains. Let's start with Iran, shall we?
Bollywood in Iran? Mira, are you sure you're not mixing up your travel brochures again? I picture you more likely trying to haggle for a magic carpet in a Persian bazaar than bursting into song on a mountaintop. But all right, Iran and Israel's landscapes. Interesting contrast. Let's dive in before Mira starts humming show tunes.
Oh, come on, Leo. A little song and dance never hurt anyone. But seriously, Iran is geographically HUGE, right? Like Mindelbauing lie divers. You've got the Alpes Mountains perfect for skiing, can you imagine? Skiing in the Middle East. Whoa! And then you have the Zolgars Mountains, which are just as stunning but meditating on a mountaintop. Think rugged mountaintop. Think meditating on a mountaintop.
Hermits on mountains, magic carpets, Mira, you're really laying it on thick today. But yeah, Iran's mountain ranges are pretty impressive. I've heard stories of people trekking in the Albers and saying it's like stepping into another world. Though I bet the hermits are probably just trying to get away from the tourists taking selfies with the views.
Now that's a YouTube video idea. It's not just mountains, Leo. Iran also has deserts. Vast, incredible deserts like the Dasht Kavi Arn Dasht Lut. Imagine sunrise over sand dunes that stretch as far as the eye can see. It's like being on another planet, only hotter and sandier.
Sandiar. Definitely Sandiar. Deserts aren't exactly my cup of tea, Mira. I prefer landscapes with a bit more hydration. But admit the Iranian deserts are something else. I saw a documentary once, and the Stars Gate once, and the Stars Gates at night. Unbelievable. Probably better than any planetarium show. Though I'd still pack extra water just in case those desert mirages turn out to be real.
Mirages and magic carpets. We on the same page, Leo. And speaking of water, Iran has coastlines too. The Caspian Sea in the north, and the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman in the south. Beaches, sunshine, maybe not quite the Mediterranean, but still beautiful in their own right. You could totally picture yourself sipping tea by the Caspian, watching the sunset.
Tea by the Caspian sounds nice, though I'd probably spill it trying to get a decent Wi-Fi signal for jet-off AI. But yes, Iran's coastlines offer a different kind of beauty. The Caspian is unique, and the southern coasts have that warm Persian Gulf vibe. I've heard the seafood is amazing too, which is always a plus in my book.
A perfect combo. But let's not forget the forests, Leo. Northern Iran is surprisingly green, with lush Hyarkanian forests. They're ancient, like something out of a fairy tale, full of biodiversity. Imagine hiking through these forests, breathing in the fresh air, feeling like you've stepped back in time.
Fairy tale forests. Now you're talking, Mira. I do love a good forest. Hiking through ancient woods, pretending I'm an intrepid explorer as long as there are no bears I'm in. Though maybe a comedic encounter with a bear would make for a good stand-up there.
Yuri on fire stand-up routine. You're on fire today, Leo. But now, let's hop over to Israel, shall we? It's a much smaller country, but packed with its own natural wonders. Think of the Dead Sea, the lowest point on Earth. You can float without even trying. It's like nature's own sperm, minus the cucumber slices on your eyes. Unless you bring your own.
Floating in the Dead Sea, covered in mud, pretending to be a health guru. I can see the Instagram posts now. Leo discovers inner peace, also questionable mud. The Dead Sea is a geographical marvel, and surprisingly photogenic in a salty, surreal kind of way.
Surreal and salty, perfect description. And then, there's the Negev Desert, which is completely different from the Iranian deserts. The Negev is all about dramatic canyons, unique rock formations, and surprising bursts of life. It's not just and dunes, it's got character. You can hike, bike, even take a jeep tour and feel like you're in a movie. Just without the tumbleweeds, probably.
Western movie in the Negev, I'd probably end up playing the comedic sidekick who always gets lost. But I agree, the Negev is fascinating. Those canyons are incredible, and the desert blooms in spring. Apparently, it's a ride of color.
New indeed. And Israel's coastline, Leo, is classic Mediterranean beauty. Sandy beaches, clear turquoise waters, perfect for swimming, sunbathing, and maybe even learning to surf. If you're any braver than I am, imagine strolling along the Tel Aviv beachfront, feeling the sea breeze, maybe stopping for some delicious hummus and pita.
Hummus and pita on the beach now fits my kind of landscape. Israel's Mediterranean coast is postcard perfect. Beaches, cafes, that chilled out Mediterranean vibe, it's the kind of place where you can relax, soak up the sun, and maybe even try to learn a few Hebrew phrases to impress the locals. Though it'd probably just end up ordering coffee in broken Hebrew.
Coffee in broken Hebrew. Another YouTube short idea. And don't forget the Sea of Galilee, Leo. It's a freshwater lake surrounded by hills and historical sites. It's serene, peaceful. You can take boat trips. visit ancient churches, and just soak in the atmosphere. It's like a place where history and nature meet in a really beautiful way. Wow.
History and nature meeting sounds a bit less chaotic than our usual travel plans, Mir. But the Sea of Galilee does sound lovely. Peaceful lake, rolling hills, historical sites, it's the kind of place where you can actually relax and reflect, instead of just rushing from one tourist trap to another. Though it's still probably managed to find something ridiculous to comment on, even in a serene setting.
That's your superpower, Leo? So, when it comes to natural beauty, both Iran and Israel are all winners in their own way, right? Iran is all about grand scale and dramatic diversity, from towering mountains to vast deserts, sun-lush forests. Israel, while smaller, packs in a punch with its unique deserts, iconic Dead Sea, and classic Mediterranean coast. It's like choosing between a grand opera and a perfectly crafted short story, both beautiful, just in different ways.
Grand opera versus short story, I like that, Mira. It's surprisingly poetic for you. But you're right, both countries have incredible landscapes, just very different. Iran is the epic adventure, Israel is the perfectly formed gem. Whether you want to trek through mountains, float a Mediterranean beach, both have something amazing to offer. And you can find more travel inspiration on Jet AI, by the way.
Jet AI is your passport to discovering all these amazing landscapes and more. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for more comparisons and travel giggles. If you liked this episode, give us a like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which landscape you'd explore, first the Iranian mountains or the deserts. We're dying to know. Ooh.
Dying to know, or just dying for more coffee, Mira? But yeah, drop us a comment on YouTube. Tell us what you think, and maybe even share your own landscape stories. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button, Marrier, and the more coffee we get to drink, thanks to Jet AI supporting us.
More listeners, more coffee, more podcasts, more laughter. It's a win-win-win situation. Thanks for joining us on this scenic journey, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring and keep laughing. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. And remember, whether you prefer mountains or beaches, deserts or forests, just get out there and explore. And maybe send us a postcard from your favorite landscape.
Our current topic, we compare sports, activity, and adventure options into countries. From celebrated national sports to daring outdoor pursuits and active lifestyles, we dive in. So, Iran and Israel. When I think of Iranian sports, wrestling always comes to mind. Like, seriously, those guys are strong. And if you wrestled an Iranian wrestler, you need a crane to lift your arm afterwards.
A crane, Mira. Always with the drama. But yeah, wrestling in Iran is huge. It's like their version of, I don't know, competitive carpet weaving. Just kidding. But in Israel, you know what's popular? Basketball. We're all about shooting hoops, maybe because we're always aiming high, you know. Metaphorically and literally.
I can get louder than a jet engine taking off.
Jet engine, huh? You're really selling the decibel level, Mira. Yeah, football in Iran is like a religion, maybe even more serious than actual religion for some. Oops, did I just say that out loud? Eh? But seriously, the passion is intense. In Israel, football is popular too, but maybe not quite at the same fever pitch. We're more into being active outdoors, you know. Hiking in the desert, maybe floating in the desert, maybe from? That's an activity, right?
Floating in the Dead Sea. That sounds so relaxing. Though, knowing me, I'd probably still manage to get salt water in my eyes somehow. Oops. But hiking in Israel sounds amazing too. Is it like super hot? But Do you have to wear one of those hats that looks like a lampshade to survive? In Iran, you've got mountains too. I saw pictures. It looks surprisingly snowy.
You're killing me, Mira. Yeah, Israel has deserts, but also surprisingly green areas and mountains in the north. You can ski in the middle, heights. Oh, skiing in the Middle East, mind blown, right? As for Iran, they've got the Alborz and Zagros Mountains, massive ranges. Serious skiing potential there, and hiking, mountain climbing, all that adventurous stuff. So, if you're into stuff, Iran might surprise you. Maybe leave the bikini at home for the ski slopes there. Just a thought.
No bikini skiing in Iran. Noted. Skiing in Iran sounds incredible. Imagine a presky, but instead of hot chocolate, you're sipping Persian tea and eating baklava. That's a whole new level of cozy. And for adventure stuff in Israel, I guess you've got the whole desert thing going on, like keep tours and camel rides of Arabia without the whole, you know? Historical baggage.
Lawrence of Arabia minus the historical baggage. Nicely put, Mira. Yeah, desert adventures are definitely a thing in Israel. Jeep tours, Bedouin hospitality, stargazing in the Negev desert, it's pretty epic. And for water sports, we've got the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, so diving, snorkeling, windsurfing, all that good stuff. Plus, you can always try to surf in the Dead Sea.
Surfing in the Dead Sea, new extreme sport idea. But diving the Red Sea sounds incredible. Are there, like, colorful coral reefs and Nemo fish and stuff? Wow. In Iran, I guess the Caspian Sea coast is more for chilling by the beach, maybe some boating. Less scuba diving, more Caspian Sea gazing. But I bet they have amazing hiking trails in those mountains you mentioned. Imagine hiking the zone and stumbling upon ancient ruins.
Indiana Jones and the Zagros Mountains, I like where your head's at, Mira. Yeah. Iran has incredible hiking, trekking. It is think ancient trails, nomadic cultures. Think ancient trails, nomadic cultures, stunning landscapes. It's a real adventure travel destination if you're willing to go a bit off the beaten path. Israel's hiking is more organized maybe. Well-marked trails, national parks. Easier access. But hey, both offer some seriously cool outdoor experiences. And if you prefer indoor activities, well, there's always competitive backgammon. Just kidding, mostly.
Competitive backgammon. Is that a thing? Actually, it sounds kind of intense. Imagine professional backgammon players trash-talking each other. Whoa. But yeah, both Iran and Israel sound like they've got loads of active stuff to do, both outdoors and maybe some intense indoor backgammon tournaments. For anyone watching on YouTube and planning a trip, check out Jenna Faye, FAI for more details on adventure tours in both countries. Ooh, we should put links in the description too.
Links in the description, good call, Mira. Always thinking ahead. Yeah, your one-stop shop for adventure and SPO. And competitive backgammon is a thing, by the way. Maybe not stadium level, but people get serious. So, whether you're into wrestling, basketball, skiing, desert hikes, or intense board games, both Israel got something to offer the active traveler. Just maybe pack appropriate swimwear for each country. And leave the lampshade hat at home unless you're actually in the desert.
Lampshade hat disclaimer. Excellent point, Leo. And yes, Jet-Off AI is your friend for all travel planning needs, adventure or otherwise. Okay, so sports activity and adventure sounds like both Iran and Israel are way more active than just sitting around sipping tea, although tea sipping is an activity, right? Maybe we should compare tea cultures next time. Maybe we should compare tea cultures next time.
Tea cultures? Now you're talking my language, Mira. But for now, sports and adventure check. We've tackled the topic with the grace of a well. Maybe not a wrestler, but definitely a moderately coordinated basketball player. So listeners, if you like this sporty chat, give us a like on YouTube, subscribe for more country comparisons, and tell us in the comments. What's YOU our favorite adventure activity? we're curious.
Buckle up, because we are diving into the dazzling, maybe slightly mysterious, world of nightlife and entertainment venues. Oh, I'm picturing flashing lights, maybe some belly dancing, who knows?
Belly dancing in every venue might be a stretch, Mira, even for your wildly optimistic imagination. Yes, nightlife. Let's see if we can find some venues that are actually open past 9 p.m. in one of these places.
Oh, come on, Leah. Don't be such a party pooper before we even start. Oh, think of the hidden gems, the secret underground discos. Maybe in Iran. They have like super cool tea houses that turn into dance clubs after dark. Wow.
Secret underground discos in Iran sounds like the title of a B-movie, Mira. Well, I appreciate your enthusiasm for clandestine partying, though, let's just say, official nightlife venues in Iran aren't exactly advertised on billboards.
Okay. Maybe not billboards, but Iran has such a rich artistic heritage, right? Right? Maybe their entertainment scene is more about, like, poetry slams that turn into impromptu jam sessions. Imagine soulful music, maybe some delicious Persian sweets.
Soulful music and Persian sweets are definitely on the menu in Iran, Mira. But maybe dial down the impromptu jam sessions in public. Entertainment in Iran often leans towards cultural events and things happening within private circles. Think more house parties than Ibiza beach clubs.
Okay, I can work with that. Imagine the fare at an Iranian house party. All those amazing kebabs and rice dishes. Maybe they have karaoke, but with traditional Persian songs. Wow, we need to get invited to an EO. For research purposes, obviously.
Research purposes naturally involving copious amounts of kava. While crashing an Iranian house party might be a bold research method, Mira, it's true that silencing and entertainment often happen in homes. And yes, the food is usually spectacular. Less karaoke, more likely storytelling and conversation.
I love it. Imagine sitting around, sipping tea, listening to incredible stories that have been passed down for generations. That's way more enriching than just another loud club, right? Iranian nightlife. Secretly sophisticated.
Secretly sophisticated is a good way to put it, Mira. It's less about flashing lights and more about cultural depth. Think traditional music performances, maybe some theater, but often in more formal or private settings. Not exactly your typical YouTube vlog nights out.
Iran is more cultured evenings and then crazy club nights out. Got it. But sure, Tel Aviv is like... I've heard Tel Aviv is like the party capital of the Middle East. Whoa, is that true, Leo? Tell me everything. Oh.
Tel Aviv is the party capital. That's not just hype, Mira. Israel, especially Tel Aviv, has a very different approach to nightlife. Think beaches that turn into open-air clubs, bars spilling onto the streets until sunrise, and music blasting everywhere. Whoa, it's the polar opposite of our secretly sophisticated Iranian evenings.
Beaches that turn into clubs. Ooh, sunrise parties. Wow, that's more like it. Imagine dancing on the beach with the Mediterranean breeze. Maybe some cool Israeli DJ-esque spinning tunes. We need to check this out for Jet Fair and Leo. Think of the YouTubers.
Jet Fair, I would definitely be interested in the Tel Aviv beach party scene, Mira. It's a major tourist draw. And yes, they go hard. From electronic music to live bands, from fancy cocktail bars to gritty pubs, Tel Aviv has it all. It's a city that seems to run on caffeine and adrenaline. And maybe arak.
Arak! Is that like Israeli tequila? I'm picturing myself doing shots of arak on the Tel Aviv beach at sunrise. Whoa, this is the kind of research I signed up for. Forget tea and stories. Bring on the sunshine and the shots.
Arak is more like an flavored liquor, Mira, but your enthusiasm is appreciated. Hey, And yes, shots of Arakat sunrise after a night of dancing is a fairly common Tel Aviv experience. They definitely know how to let loose. It's a city that celebrates life, often very loudly.
I know this. So, basically, Iran is like a super classy, whispered secret, and Israel is like a giant, joyful shout. Two totally different vibes. Which one would you prefer for a night out, Leo?
For a quiet night of insightful conversation and delicious food, maybe Iran. For a night of letting loose and forgetting about everything, definitely Tel Aviv. It depends on the mood, Mira. Sometimes you want soulful whispers. Sometimes you want joyful shouts. Both have their appeal, just in wildly different ways.
If you're in Iran, you might find yourself in a cozy tea house, maybe listening to some live traditional music, or at a friend's house for a delicious dinner party. And if you're in Israel, you could be dancing on a beach until the sun comes up, surrounded by amazing energy and maybe a shot of arak. Wow, talk about two ends of the spectrum.
Exactly, Mira. Two ends of the spectrum when it comes to nightlife and entertainment venues. One is about cultural immersion and intimate gatherings. The other is about letting your hair down and embracing the party vibe. Both valid, both interesting, just different. And that, folks, is the beauty of comparing countries.
And if you want to see us try to crash an Iranian house party or dance on a Tel Aviv beach at sunrise, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Oh, maybe we can convince Jet of AI to send us on a nightlife research trip. Wouldn't that be amazing? Well,
Don't hold your breath for the nightlife research trip, Mira. But yes, like, subscribe, and let us know what other cultural comparisons you'd like to see on our YouTube channel. And for more travel insights, you can always check out Jedal. Until next time, folks.
our current topic, we compare family-friendly environments and children's activities into countries. From welcoming parks to engaging museums.
Family-friendly in Iran and Israel, huh? Sounds like we're about to dive into two very different playdates. I'm picturing one with hummus and falafel and the other with... Well, what do Iranian kids snack on? Besides pistachios the size of my thumb.
Oh, Leo. You're already making me hungry. But yes, let's explore how Iran and Israel roll out the welcome mat for families. Think about it. For parents planning trips, knowing if a place is kid-central is super important. Ooh.
Absolutely, Mira, because family-friendly can mean anything from survive with toddlers to actually enjoyable for grown-ups too. Is it just playgrounds and sticky handrails, or is there some actual cultural enrichment involved? Aha!
Let's start with parks. I've heard Iranian parks are gorgeous. Like, imagine Persian gardens, but for kids to run around in. Wow, Tehran's parks, like Park Milad, are supposed to be huge and green, perfect for picnics and letting off steam.
Parks, yes, essential for any parent's sanity. Israel's got its fair share. Park Hayarkin in Tel Aviv is massive, right? I'm picturing sunshine, maybe a stray cat, or the plotting world domination. You know, the usual park vibes.
Stray cats, plotting world domination classic, Leo. But seriously, both countries seem to value outdoor spaces. And it's not just about green patches, is it? It's about what activities are available. Are there cool playgrounds? Bike rentals? Maybe even camel rides? Whoa.
Camel rides in Tel Aviv might be pushing it, Mira, though I wouldn't put it past them. Israel's got the Mediterranean coast, so beaches are a big draw for families. Building sandcastles, splashing in the waves, you know, the stuff that makes kids momentarily forget their iPads exist.
Beaches. Iran has Caspian Sea beaches in the north and Persian Gulf beaches in the south. Imagine family beach days with a backdrop of ancient history. Though, beach culture might be a bit different depending on the region, culturally speaking.
Right, cultural nuances are key. In Israel, beaches are pretty open and relaxed. You'll see families from all walks of life, probably blasting some Israeli pop music. Iran might be a tad more conservative beach-wise. I'm guessing.
Probably a bit more modest, yes. But still, the joy of sand and sea is universal. Oh, and what about museums? Kids in museums. Sometimes a tricky combo. But are there places that make history fun for little ones in Iran and Israel? Aha!
Museums and kids. Often ends with kids. Either theirs or the parents. But Israel's got some interactive science museums that are supposed to be pretty cool. Bloomfield Science Museum in Jerusalem, anyone? Pushing Buttons Make Museum in Jerusalem, anyone? Pushing buttons, making things explode safely, that's Kid Crack right there.
Kid Crack. Leo, you have a way with words. Iran also has science museums and historical museums that might have amazing exhibits, maybe about ancient Persia. Think about it, learning about Cyrus the Great could be way cooler than homework.
Cyrus the Great versus homework, no contest, but museums need to be engaging. Are we talking dusty old relics behind glass, or hands-on, climb-on, make a mess kind of exhibits? Because let's be honest, kids are basically tiny chaos agents.
Interactive museums are definitely the way to go. And I bet both countries have some amazing cultural centers too. Think about storytelling, traditional music, maybe even puppet shows. Ooh.
Puppet shows! Now you're talking, Mira. Though, I'm picturing a very serious, historically accurate puppet show about, say, the Maccabees in Israel. Maybe a little less slapstick, a little more historic, a little more historical gravitas.
Historical gravitas puppets. And me earlier. But seriously, cultural festivals, family-friendly performances. These things really make a place welcoming for families. Do Iran and Israel have events like that? I'm picturing maybe now you see celebrations in Iran. Very colorful and festive. Ah!
Now you see in Iran, yeah? That's a big one, right? Spring festival, family gatherings, probably lots of sweets and things that make dentist wince. Israel has holidays too, Passover, sucked big family occasions, though maybe not as much street festival vibe. Huh.
True, maybe more home-centered holidays in Israel. But still, opportunities for family togetherness. And what about just general safety and atmosphere? Do you families feel comfortable walking around cities in the daytime, in the evenings? That's a big factor, isn't it?
Safety is paramount, obviously. Both Iran and Israel are generally safe for tourists during the day in major cities, though like anywhere, you need to be aware of your surroundings, especially in crowded areas. Nighttime, maybe stick to well-lit, populated spots, common sense stuff.
Common sense is key, always. And I guess it depends on the city too. Big cities everywhere have their bustling, busy vibes. And maybe smaller towns, more rural areas in both countries, feel even more laid-back and family-oriented. But
Smaller towns, yeah. Probably a slower pace of life, more community feel. Imagine kids playing in the streets until sunset, no helicopter parenting needed, maybe. Am I romanticizing it, aren't I?
a little romanticizing is allowed. But it paints a nice picture, doesn't it? Ultimately, it sounds like both Iran have potential for family-friendly trips. It's just about knowing where to look, and maybe doing a little extra planning depending on your comfort levels and cultural expectations.
Exactly, Mira. Family-friendly isn't a one-size-fits-all label. It's about finding what fits your family's style and adventure level, and maybe packing extra snacks, just in case the hummus and pistachios don't cut it for the picky eaters.
Our current topic, we compare LGBT-friendly atmospheres into countries, diving into inclusivity, legal protections, and social acceptance. From vibrant pride events to inspiring community stories and...
Whoa, hold on, Mira. LGBT friendliness? Comparing Iran and Israel? That's like comparing a rainbow flag too. Well, a very beige flag. We sure we're not setting ourselves up for some serious cognitive dissonance here.
You always jump straight to the point. But you're right, it's quite the contrast. But hey, that's what makes it interesting, right? We're not here for easy comparisons, are we? We're here to explore the nuances, even when they're as different as hummus and, let's say, really spicy hummus. Ooh.
Spicy hummus that might just bite back. Okay, I'm intrigued. So, Israel generally seen as pretty progressive on this front, right? I mean, Tel Aviv pride is legendary, I hear. Is it all sunshine and rainbows or are there, shall we say, cloudy days too?
Tel Aviv. High is definitely a huge flash of color. Wow. It's like the city just throws a massive party and everyone's invited, glitter and all. You see the parades on YouTube and it's just pure joy and celebration. Legally, Israel's got some interesting points, same-sex related marriage across the board. But they do recognize marriages performed abroad, which is something.
Something's better than nothing, I guess. But not fully recognized for marriage. Sounds like a bit of a bureaucratic tango. Sounds like a bit of a bureaucratic tango. So you can get married in like Canada, Israel's like, yeah, 'tis you, but they won't exactly throw you a wedding party. Is it more the beige flag situation as I so eloquently put it earlier?
Beige flag is putting it mildly. Leo, in Iran, things are dramatically different. Like, imagine going from that Tel Aviv Pride Parade to, well, let's just say a very quiet room. Very, very quiet. Legally, same-sex relations are a big no-no. Like, capital punishment, big no-no in some interpretations. Ouch!
Ouch, ouch, ouch for the capital O in the side of oh dear. So, pride parades are probably off the table then? More like hide-in-the-closet parades. If those even exist. It's grim mirror, seriously grim. Do they have any LGBT spaces at all? Or is it all underground whispers and code? Do they LGBT mojis?
Underground is the key word, Leo. There are definitely LGBT individuals in community, Iran, absolutely. People are people everywhere, right? But they have to be incredibly discreet, meeting in secret, communicating online with VPNs and encrypted messages. It's a world of shadows and whispers, which is just heartbreaking. Ouch! Imagine living with that constant fear.
Heartbreaking is an understatement. It's like living in a spy movie, but not the fun James Bond kind. More like a really stressful Cold War drama. Yikes. So, in Israel, despite the legal tango you mentioned, there's at least social acceptance in many parts. Especially in cities like Tel Aviv. People can be openly gay, hold hands in public, not fear for their lives, generally.
Yes, in many parts of Israel, especially in the more secular areas, you'll see LGBT couples living openly. There's a real sense of community and visibility, especially in Tel Aviv. Especially in Tel Aviv. Especially in Tel Aviv. Especially in more conservative and religious communities much lower, and people might face discrimination, even within their families.
Right, because Israel is a fascinating mix of, like, super modern and deeply traditional all at once. It's not a monolith, is it? So you can have a pride parade bumping into a very serious religious procession. Awkward elevator moments guaranteed. But still, miles ahead of Iran in terms of public expression and safety, wouldn't you say?
Miles and miles, Leah. It's a completely different universe. In Iran, being openly LGBT is incredibly dangerous. People risk arrest, imprisonment, violence. It's a constant struggle for basic safety and human dignity. Whereas in Israel, despite the complexities and ongoing battles for full equality, there's at least a legal and social framework that acknowledges and, in many areas, protects LGBT rights. Wow!
So, for someone who identifies as LGBT, choosing between these two for, say, a vacation or dare I say, a move, it's not exactly a tough choice, is it? Unless you have a really strong penchant for beige flags and living dangerously.
Unless beige is your absolute favorite color and you're auditioning for a spy thriller, Israel would be the significantly more welcoming option. But even in Israel, the fight for full equality isn't over. There are still battles to be fought, prejudices to overcome, especially regarding religious and political aspects. It's a journey, not a destination, as they say.
True that. In Iran, the journey is uphill in the dark with really heavy luggage and possibly wolves howling in the distance. Okay, maybe I'm getting carried away with the metaphor. But the point is, the gap is enormous and highlights just how diverse the world is and how different peoples experience where they were born or where they live.
Exactly, Leo. And it's important to remember that behind these statistics and comparisons, there are real people, real lives. Real stories of courage and resilience in both countries. Even in the most challenging environments, communities find ways to connect, to support each other, to keep hope alive.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening who wants to learn more, because we've just scratched the surface here, right? They can dive deeper online, check out human rights organizations, maybe even find some documentaries on YouTube. There's a lot to unpack. And maybe visit Getafe for more comparative country insights. Just putting it out there.
Shameless blog, Leo, I love it. Yes, definitely explore more. Keep the conversation going. And remember that empathy and understanding are key. Yeah, it's not about judging, buying. It's not about judging, but about learning and hopefully contributing to a more inclusive world wherever we are.
Well said, Mira. And on that slightly less beige note, shall we move on to our next topic? Perhaps something a little lighter? Like comparing the traffic jams.
Okay, everyone, let's jump into a topic that's all about feeling welcome. We're gonna chat about hospitality and how folks in Iran and Israel treat people who are visiting or new to the neighborhood. It's like, are they gonna roll out the red carpet? Or just give you a polite nod?
Red carpets, Mira? Are we expecting a royal visit or just trying to find out if we'll get invited for tea? Seriously though, hospitality is interesting. It's like trying to figure out if a smile is genuine or just good customer service. Let's see what's cooking in Iran and Israel.
Think about it when you travel. That first impression, that warm welcome, can totally make or break your trip, right? Like, imagine arriving somewhere and feeling like you're instantly part of the family. I'm excited to see if Iran or Israel wins the most welcoming country award in our totally unofficial podcast competition.
An award, Mira? Are we giving out golden baklava or something? But yeah, that feeling of being welcome is huge. It can turn a confusing trip into an amazing adventure. I'm picturing myself wandering around, hoping someone offers me some of that famous Persian hospitality I've heard about. Or maybe some hummus in Israel?
Food is definitely part of hospitality. Speaking of Iran, I've heard stories about Thai Arv that's super polite, almost theatrical form of etiquette. Like, offering you something and then insisting you take it, even if you initially refuse. Wow, it sounds kinda like a dance, doesn't it?
A dance of politeness. Sounds exhausting, Mira. But yeah, Thai Arv in Iran is legendary. It's like they're trying to out-polite each other. Imagine trying to pay for something and having 3 people dramatically refuse your money. Whoa, it's Hospitality Olympics.
Hospitality Olympics. I love it, Leo. And in Israel, I've heard about this amazing sense of community, especially in smaller towns or kibbutzim. Like, if you're new, people will actually come up and introduce themselves and invite you for Shabbat dinner. Oh, how lovely is that?
Shabbat dinner invites? Sounds nice, Mira. If you like gefilte fish. But that community vibe in Israel is real. It's like everyone knows everyone, or is related to everyone, or went to school with everyone. Makes it easier to feel like you belong, I guess, even if you're just visiting.
And I think in both Iran and Israel, there's this deep-rooted cultural value of taking care of guests. It's like your home is their home, and you want to make sure they have the best time possible. It's such a beautiful idea, right?
Beautiful idea, Mira, until your distant relatives show up and decide to move in permanently. Just kidding mostly, but seriously, that Middle Eastern hospitality thing is strong in both cultures. It's like come in, make yourself at home, and let me feed you until you can't move.
Food, glorious food. And I think in Iran, there's also this curiosity about foreigners. Maybe because it hasn't always been the easiest place to visit for everyone. So, if you were a tourist, people might be extra eager to chat and show you the best of their country.
True. An EE tourist might make you a bit of a novelty. It's like, oh look, a real live foreigner. Oh look, A real foreigner. Let's ask them a million questions and offer them all the saffron tea. In Israel, they're probably more used to tourists, but still generally pretty friendly, especially if you're not causing trouble.
Right. And I think in Israel, especially with the history and everything, there might be an extra layer of warmth towards people who are coming to learn and understand the story. It's like welcome. Let us tell you everything. Ew.
Let us tell you everything, Mira, which could take days. But yeah, that historical, uncultural pride in Israel can't translate into wanting to share it with visitors. It's like, come see our amazing country, and let us explain why it's amazing. Ha!
And maybe in Iran, there's a chance to break down some stereotypes and show a different side of the country than what people might see in the news. Like, hey, we're not all serious news headlines. We're actually really fun and hospitable.
We're not all serious news headlines. We have great jokes too. I can see that. Iran might be keen to show off its softer side, its culture, its people. It's like, forget what you think you know. Come see for yourself and have some amazing Persian food while you're at it.
Overall, it sounds like both Iran and Israel are pretty high up on the hospitality scale. Just maybe in slightly different ways. Iran with the super politeness and maybe extra curiosity. And Israel with the community vibe and historical pride? What do you think, Leo?
Yeah, Mira, I'd say both are definitely contenders for the welcoming country's Olympics. Iran might win on sheer politeness points, while Israel scores high on community spirit. It's like, do you want to be politely overwhelmed, or warmly embraced? Either way, sounds like you're in for a good time and a lot of food.
Food and friendly faces, what more could you want? If you're planning a trip, definitely check out Jet or Faye for more tips and info. And hey, if you've been to Iran or Israel, tell us in the YouTube comments about your hospitality experiences. We'd love to hear them. Haha.
Yeah, drop those comments on YouTube. Tell us if you got caught in a talyar of politeness standoff in Iran or got invited to a spontaneous Shabbat dinner in Israel. We're all ears and maybe a little hungry now. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
All right, Leo. Let's surf into our next topic. Internet infrastructure and digital facilities. It's like, are we talking super speed fiber? Or are we still waiting for dial-up to reconnect? For you, for Iran and Israel, which one's got the digital highway and which is more of a scenic internet back road?
Scenic internet back road, I like that, Mira. Sounds like my last hotel in the mountains. More scenic view than Wi-Fi signal, that's for sure. But seriously, internet infrastructure, it's like the plumbing of the 21st century, right? Nobody sees it, but when it clogs up, everything grinds to a halt. So, Iran versus Israel, digital plumbing showdown.
Digital plumbing showdown. I can already imagine little internet packets racing each other through pipes. Wow, okay. So when we talk about Iran, I've heard things can be a bit filtered. Like trying to watch YouTube but only getting cat videos approved by well, you know. Is it like that? Or am I exaggerating for comedic effect?
So, I think that we can conquer there. Exaggerating for comedic effect? Mira, that's your superpower. But no, you're not entirely wrong. Iran, let's say, has a curated internet experience. Think of it as a meticulously arranged digital garden. Everything's in its place, very orderly. Access to certain unapproved flowers might be restricted. If you catch my drift. It's not dial-up, but it's not exactly wide-open digital prairie either.
Meticulously arranged digital garden. That's poetic, Leo. You should write greeting cards. Ooh, but a garden needs tending, right? Is Iran investing in keeping their digital garden blooming, or are they more focused on weeding out certain websites? Are they building new fiber lines, or just really good at firewall gardening?
Firewall gardening. Mira, you're on fire today. Okay, so Iran is definitely working on expanding its own national internet network. Think of it as building their own digital greenhouse, separate from the rest of the world's digital garden. It's about control, but also about resilience, I guess. They are investing in infrastructure, but with specific goals in mind. It's not just about sovereignty.
Sounds very serious. Maybe too serious for a podcast. I get it. Digital borders and all that. What about Israel then? Are they in the digital greenhouse? Or are they out there in the wild west of the internet? Well, are they more about surfing the web freely? Or do they also have digital fences?
Israel? Wild West. Maybe not quite. More like Silicon Valley in the desert. They're tech-savvy, innovative, and very plugged into the global internet grid. Think of them as digital cowboys, but instead of horses, they ride fiber optic cables. They are definitely pushing for faster speeds, better connectivity, and being a tech hub. Less about digital fences, more about digital frontiers.
Digital cowboys on fiber optic cables. I love it. Can we get someone to animate that for our YouTube episode? Oh, so Israel's like full speed ahead? On the information superhighway, are they leading the pack in terms of internet speed and innovation in the region? Or are they like the Formula One racers of the digital world?
Formula One racers? I like that too, Mira. Yeah, Israel is definitely up there in terms of internet speed and digital innovation in the Middle East. They've got a thriving tech scene, lots of startups, and good infrastructure to support it all. They're investing in things like 5G, fiber optics, and all the latest digital bells and whistles. They want to be at the front of the digital race, not just keeping up.
Digital bells and whistles? Are we talking like jetpacks for your Wi-Fi signal? So if I wanted to download a movie in, like, 2 seconds, Israel would be the place to be. And in Iran, maybe it takes slightly longer? Oh, is there a big difference in internet speed and accessibility for the average person in both countries?
Slightly longer is putting it mildly, Mira. Let's just say downloading that movie into seconds in Iran might be ambitious. There is a noticeable difference in internet accessibility. Israel generally has faster speeds and wider access, especially in urban areas. Iran is more variable. Cities have decent connectivity, but rural areas and, let's say, accessing certain types of content can be a different story. It's not a digital desert in Iran, but it's not a digital oasis of speed and freedom like Israel either.
Not a digital desert, not a digital oasis. You're good with these analogies today, Leo. So, if someone's a digital nomad and needs super fast, unrestricted internet, Israel would be the better bet, right? And if someone's okay with a more curated, slower pace, maybe Iran could work? Or am I simplifying things way too much again?
Simplifying things, Mira? Never. But you're on the right track. For digital nomads, Israel is definitely going to be more appealing for the fast, reliable, and less restricted internet. Iran, it's more for someone who's looking for a different kind of digital experience. Maybe less focused on speed and more on local content, if that makes sense. Aha! It depends on your digital diet, really. Fast food versus slow-cooked local cuisine, digitally speaking.
I like that. So, Israel is like digital fast food, quick, convenient, everywhere. And Iran is more like digital home cooking, maybe takes longer, maybe a limited menu, but uniquely flavored. Ugh. Are digital services and innovations booming in both places, even with these differences in infrastructure and access?
Booming in different ways, Mira. Israel is a powerhouse for tech startups, cyber cost of digital innovations. They're churning out new apps and technologies faster than you can say algorithm. Wow, Iran, even with the restrictions, has a growing tech scene too, but it's more focused on developing local alternatives and navigating the curated digital environment. They're innovating, but maybe in a more inward-looking way.
Inward-looking innovation. That's kinda cool, actually. Like they're making the best of what they have and building their own digital world within their own garden walls. Wow. So, for digital facilities overall, would you say Israel is leading in terms of speed and openness, but Iran is catching up in its own unique, curated way? Is that a fair summary for our listeners on YouTube? Don't forget to like and subscribe, folks.
Fair summary, Mira. For our YouTube audience and our Jeddah article readers, Israel is definitely ahead in terms of speed, openness, and being plugged into the global digital grid. Iran is on a different digital path, focused on its own network and navigating a more controlled online environment. It's not a race to see who's better. It's different digital landscapes reflecting different approaches.
Different digital landscapes. Perfect way to put it, Leo. It's like comparing a bustling city with a quiet countryside. Both have their own charm. Just depends what you're looking for in your digital life. Oh, okay. Digital plumbing and digital guns and digital cowboys. I think we've officially stretched the internet analogy as far as it can go. Ready to move on to our next topic? Our current topic, we compare shopping opportunities and price performance balance into countries, diving into retail diversity from bustling markets to fancy boutiques. Ooh, it's like comparing bargain hunting in a Persian bazaar to swiping your card in a Tel Aviv mall.
Persian Bazaar versus Tel Aviv Mall, huh? Sounds like a showdown between ancient haggling skills and modern point-of-sale systems. I'm picturing myself trying to negotiate for a magic carpet with shekels. That should be interesting.
Imagine the carpets. Iran is like a treasure chest of hand-woven rugs, spices that smell like 1,000 stories, and intricate handicrafts. Oh, you could spend days just wandering through bazaars like Tehran's Grand Bazaar, feeling like Indiana Jones but instead of a whip. You've got a shopping bag.
Indiana Jones with a shopping bag, I love it. And probably battling crowds instead of booby traps. But seriously, Iran's bazaars are legendary. You can probably find anything from saffron to samovars, assuming you can navigate the labyrinthine alleys without getting completely lost.
Lost? No? That's just extra adventure, Leo. Think of it as a shopping safari. And the prices in Iran, especially if you're good at bargaining, can be incredibly wallet-friendly. You could probably furnish your entire apartment with beautiful Persian goods and still have money left over for more spices.
Wallet-friendly is good, especially for someone like me who tends to bloat his budget on coffee and questionable street food. But let's talk Israel now, shifting gears from ancient bazaars to, well, what's the Israeli shopping vibe, right?
Israel is like the tech-savvy cousin when it comes to shopping. Think stylish boutiques, international brands, and cutting-edge gadgets. Wow! Places like Tel Aviv's Diz Enof Street or Ramat Aviv Mall are all about the contemporary, urban shopping experience. Less haggling, more tap and pay.
Tap and pay sounds dangerously efficient. My bank account is already trembling. Ouch, so, in Israel, you're less likely to find a magic carpet and more likely to find the latest smartphone or designer jeans.
And while Israel might not be as famous for bargaining as Iran, you can still find good deals, especially during sales or in local markets like Jerusalem's Meyani Yehuda market. Plus, Israeli designers are really making a name for themselves, especially in fashion and jewelry. You could find something truly unique.
Unique Israeli design versus Persian craftsmanship, it's like choosing between a high-tech gadget and a timeless work of art. Price performance-wise, I'm guessing things are generally pricier in Israel, reflecting its more developed economy.
Sherlock is generally more expensive for shopping compared to Iran, but you're also paying for quality, convenience, and a wider range of international goods. It's that classic trade-off, right?
The classic trade-off: comfort versus adventure, budget versus blind. So, if you're after an authentic, immersive, and budget-friendly shopping experience, Iran's bazaars are calling your name. But if you prefer modern convenience and are willing to spend a bit more for trendy finds, Israel's got you covered.
It really boils down to your shopping style. Are you a treasure hunter who loves the thrill of the bargain in a vibrant, historical setting like Iran? Oh, or are you a modern minimalist who prefers a curated, stylish shopping experience in a bustling city like Tel Aviv?
As a comedian, I'm always up for a bit of treasure hunting, mostly for comedic material. But maybe I could snag a magic carpet on the side. Although navigating a crowded bazaar in Dane.
Oh, it totally is. Imagine trying to explain your jokes in Farsi to a carpet vendor. But hey, think of the stories. And the spices. You could come back smelling like a walking spice rack at the bazaar.
OD Bazaar, I'm trademarking that. Thanks, Mira. But seriously, both Iran, Israel offer such different shopping experiences. It's less about which is better and more about which vibe you're after.
And hey, for anyone watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments if there's a bargain hunter or more modernist day. We're curious. Oh, and if you're planning a shopping trip, Jeddah I has got you covered for flights and tips, of course.
Shameless plug, Mira, I love it. But yeah, Jeddah is the place to go for all your travel needs, shopping, trip, or otherwise. So, whether you're dreaming of Persian carpets or Israeli fashion, happy shopping, folks.
Happy shopping and happy travels, everyone. And remember, whether you're haggling for a rug or swiping for a gadget, the best souvenir is always a good story. Oh, bye for now. Okay, let's jump into something fun. Cultural events, festivals and concerts. Ooh, think about Iran and Israel, totally different vibes, right?
Different vibes is an understatement, Mira. It's like comparing a Persian rug to a really nice hummus. Both great, but you wouldn't wear a hummus to a festival, would you?
Unless it's a food festival, Leo. Then maybe... Oh, but seriously, Iran has Nowruz, the Persian New Year. Imagine fireworks, street food, families celebrating. It's supposed to be amazing. Wow.
Nowruz sounds fantastic, though I'm picturing myself trying to haggle for a carpet while fireworks are going off. My kind of chaos? Israel, on the other hand, think about Purim, it's like Halloween, but with more Hamantash.
Sounds delicious. So Purim is like dress up in sweets. That's a festival I can get behind. Iran also has religious festival I can get behind. Iran also has religious festivals, of course. Very different ones.
Right, different calendar, different celebrations. But both cultures are super rich in tradition, you know. In Israel, you've got Passover, suck it. Always something happening in the Jewish calendar. It's like every month has its own party.
I like parties. Oh, do they have music festivals in Israel? I'm picturing like desert music festivals, maybe with camels. Maybe with camels.
Camels might be a bit much for a music festival, Mira. Although, now I kind of want to see that. But yeah, Israel has some cool music festivals. There's indie festivals, jazz festivals, even electronic music stuff. Tel Aviv is pretty hip, you know.
I always think of, like, history and ancient stuff when I think of Israel. Shows you what I know. What about concerts in Iran? Do they have big concerts?
Concerts in Iran are a bit more nuanced, let's say. There's definitely a music scene, but it's not as wide open as in some places. You might find traditional Persian music concerts and some pop, but it's regulated.
Sounds a bit serious. I like my concerts with lots of dancing and maybe some sparklers. Yeah, Israel sounds a bit more free-spirited in that way.
Yeah, Israel's definitely got a more open vibe for concerts and nightlife in general. Tel Aviv is pretty much a 24/7 city. You could probably find a concert happening any night of the week.
Sounds like my kind of place. Although, I do love a good traditional festival too. Imagine the colors and costumes at Nowruz. We should check out some videos on YouTube. See if there are any good ones.
Good idea, Mira. Let's add that to our research list. And hey, if anyone watching on YouTube has been to Nowruz or a festival in Israel, let us know in the comments. We're always curious to hear firsthand experiences.
Yes, tell us everything. Oh, maybe someone will invite us to a festival. That would be amazing. And for more info on countries and cultures, don't forget to check out Jeddah, right, Leo?
Absolutely, Mira. Genofe, is your go-to spot for all things travel and culture. They've probably got articles on festivals in Iran and Israel, even camel-free music events.
For now. But seriously, cultural events are such a cool way to experience a country. It's like the heart of the place comes alive. Wow.
Totally agree, Mira. Festivals, concerts, cultural events, they're the spice of life, aren't they? And both Iran and Israel, in their own unique ways, definitely have their own flavor of spice to offer.
So let's chat about something that always trips people up when they're thinking about a new country language. Specifically, Iran and Israel. Ready to dive into the world of Farsi and Hebrew?
Farsi and Hebrew, huh? Sounds like the start of a joke. So, a Persian rug walks into a bar in Tel Aviv. But seriously, yeah, language learning. It's either gonna be a smooth carpet ride or a real tangle of threads.
Well, from what I hear, Iran is supposed to have some amazing language schools, especially in cities like Tehran and Isfahan. I've seen these beautiful schools in pictures, all these intricate tile works. Imagine learning Farsi in a place like that. Wow, it's like stepping into a poem while trying to conjugate verbs.
Some work in verbs. Sounds almost too poetic for language learning. I'm picturing myself trying to remember grammar rules while being distracted by stunning mosaics. My brain might just short-circuit from beauty overload. But yeah, access to schools is key. What about Israel?
Open in Israel are super famous, especially for Hebrew. Apparently they're designed for immersive learning, like diving head first into a language pool. Friends who've gone say it's intense, but you come out the other side actually speaking Hebrew. Plus, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem are buzzing with language schools too.
Immersion, huh? Sounds less like a pool and more like being dunked in the Dead Sea, salty and intense. But effective, I guess. Though, learning Hebrew script isn't it right to left in all those dots and dashes? My brain already feels like it's doing gymnastics just thinking about it.
Farsi uses the Arabic script, which is also right to left and beautiful, but can look like elegant spaghetti at first glance. Hebrew is its own script, also right to left, and people say it's like learning a whole new alphabet, which it is. Well, it's like starting from scratch. Alphabet Soup Edition.
Alphabet soup from scratch, I'm already getting a headache. Maybe we should just stick to charades. But okay, script aside, what about how easy these languages are for English speakers? I mean, English is already a mess of borrowed words and weird rules. Can it get weird?
Well, Farsi is Indo-European, so apparent points that might feel familiar sage to English speakers. But then again, it's also got its own quirks, like sentence structure can be a bit different. Aha! And pronunciation, those Persian GH and KH sounds? Challenge accepted. I guess.
So I think that we can conquer that. Familiar sage is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Indo-European sounds vaguely reassuring until you hit those GH sounds. I can barely pronounce Worcestershire sauce correctly. An Hebrew-Semitic language family, totally different ballpark, right?
Totally different ballpark. Hebrew is Semitic, so it's grammatically structured very different from English. They say the verb conjugations are a whole adventure in themselves. Well, but on the plus side, modern Hebrew is quite logical and systematic, apparently. Logical language sounds almost utopian.
Logical and systematic Hebrew, I'll believe it when I see it, or rather, when I speak it. Hehe. But okay, difficulty level seems high for both. So is there any cultural immersion bonus that makes it worthwhile? Like, do Iranians and Israelis actually want to help you language?
Oh, absolutely. Iranians are famous for their hospitality. And apparently, they are super encouraging when foreigners try to speak Farsi. Imagine ordering delicious Iranian food and charming the waiter with your Farsi. Then, instant best friends. Probably.
Iranian hospitality and food, okay. You're tempting me with kebads and compliments in Farsi. Not gonna lie, that's a good motivator. But Israelis are pretty direct, aren't they? Will they be patient with my stumbling Hebrew?
Well, Israelis are known for being direct, yes. but also super helpful. They're used to immigrants learning Hebrew, so they're generally very supportive and patient, I hear. Plus, Hebrew is like the language of the Bible reborn. Wow, that's pretty cool, historically speaking.
Bible reborn, okay. That's a pretty epic language comeback story. From ancient text to modern slang in Tel Aviv, impressive. So, culturally rich languages, both with supportive locals, sounds like the opportunities box is ticked. What about ease of access to learning resources outside of those countries, like online stuff?
Online resources are everywhere these days, right? There are tons of apps. There are tons of apps, websites, YouTube channels. Jetolfei probably has some great resources listed too, wink wink. And with the Persian diaspora, you can probably find online tutors or language partners pretty easily. Aha!
Shameless plug for Jet Off AI there, Mira. But true, online learning is huge. Hebrew also has a massive online presence, especially with tons of Jewish communities around the world. You can probably find Hebrew tutors on the web. Whoa!
Shalom aleichem. See, you're already practically fluent. But seriously, both languages seem pretty well supported online and in their respective countries. So, maybe it's just down to personal preference. Do you want to learn the language of Rumi and Hafiz, or the language of modern Israel with ancient roots?
Rumi and Hafiz versus startup nation slang. Decisions. Maybe I should just learn both and become a super polyglot comedian who tells jokes in Farsi and Hebrew. That'd be something.
Leo's a polyglot comedian. I can see it now. Opening line shalom and salam, folks. Tonight, we're gonna laugh into languages. Wow, YouTube gold for sure. And remember to tell everyone you learned it all thanks to Jet Off AI.
YouTube Gold, sponsored by Jet Off AI. Sounds like a plan. But honestly, both languages sound like a fascinating challenge. Maybe it's less about ease and more about epicness. Learning either one would be pretty epic, right?
Whether you choose the lyrical beauty of Farsi or the historical depth of Hebrew, you're in for an amazing linguistic and cultural adventure. Oh, and hey, maybe we should both try learning a few phrases and then compare notes on the next podcast. For science and comedy.
For science and comedy, in. Let's see who masters hello and thank you first. Loser buys the coffee or maybe the baklava and hummus.
Okay, Leo. So let's chat about something super important for our Jet Off-A. Our listeners planning their adventures, how safe and comfy are Iran and Israel for women travelers?
Safety and comfort for women, huh? Well, Mira, you're the expert on comfort, always rocking those rainbow outfits. Me? I just try to avoid tripping over my own feet, regardless of country. But alright, let's dive into Iran and Israel through a female traveler's lens.
Exactly. It's not just about avoiding spills, Leo. It's about feeling secure and respected wherever you go. Ugh. Starting with Iran, it's fascinating because the cultural norms are quite different from what many Western women might be used to.
Different is an understatement, Mira. When I think of Iran, I picture those epic Persian carpets, delicious pistachios, and strict dress codes. Aha! So, comfort might start with wardrobe adjustments for our female globetrotters, right?
Modesty is key in Iran. Wearing a hijab is mandatory in public, and clothing should be loose and cover arms and legs. It might feel a bit different at first, but honestly, many women find it becomes quite normal after a bit. Think of it as embracing a new cultural style.
Embracing a new cultural style, I like how you spin it, Mira. Makes it sound like a fashion adventure, not a legal requirement. But seriously, it's a big change for some. What about beyond the clothing? How do women generally experience daily life in terms of safety?
Well, from what I've heard and read, street harassment can be less common than in many Western countries. Well, there's a strong emphasis on respect within Iranian culture, and that often extends to interactions with women, especially foreigners.
Less street harassment. Wow, that's unexpected. Maybe we should all move to Iran for some peace and quiet, Emir. Just kidding. But it's interesting to hear. What about personal space and interactions in public?
Public spaces are generally considered safe, and violent crime against women is relatively low. Of course, like anywhere, it's always wise to be aware of your surroundings, especially at night, but overall, many women report feeling quite safe walking around during the day.
Safe during the day sounds promising, but especially at night, that's the universal travel warning, isn't it? What about more specific comforts? Are there women-only spaces or services that might enhance a female traveler's experience?
Iran has women-only carriages on metros and buses, and women-only parks too. Aha. Some might see it as segregation, but for many women, it provides a sense of comfort and security, especially in crowded public transport.
Women-only carriages sounds like a train ride with guaranteed peace from my jokes. Okay, I see the comfort angle there. Anything else on the positive side for women travelers in Iran?
The hospitality of Iranian people is legendary. Women travelers often mention being treated with immense kindness and generosity. Locals are usually very helpful and welcoming, eager to show off their culture and country in a positive light.
Hospitality is always a huge plus. Free tea and endless questions about where you're from, I know the drill. But let's balance the picture, Mira. Are there any discomforts or challenges women might face specifically in Iran?
Well, the dress code can feel restrictive for some, especially in the summer heat. And while street harassment might be less common, it doesn't mean it never happens. Also, as a woman, you might find yourself excluded from certain social situations or spaces that are more male-dominated.
Right, the social nuances. Navigating those unspoken rules that can be tricky anywhere, but especially in a culture with different norms. What about solo female travel in Iran? Is that generally advisable?
Solo female travel is definitely possible and becoming more common in Iran. Wow, many women do it and have amazing experiences. However, it's crucial to do your research, be aware of cultural sensitivities, and perhaps connect with local female guides or communities for extra support and advice.
Research and local connections, solid advice for any destination, really. Okay, Mira, we've painted a picture of Iran. Now, let's hop over to Israel. Completely different vibe, I imagine.
Israel is a much more westernized country in many ways, especially in cities like Tel Aviv. Oh, you'll see a wide range of clothing styles, and there's no mandatory dress code for women, though modesty is appreciated in religious areas.
Sounds like a fashion free for all after Iran. But seriously, that's a significant difference right off the bat. What about general safety and atmosphere for women in Israel?
Israel is generally considered safe for women travelers, especially in tourist areas and major cities. Crime rates are relatively low, and there's a strong police presence, particularly in public spaces and transportation hubs.
Strong police presence reassuring, but also a bit intense maybe? I guess it depends on your comfort level with that kind of security. What about street harassment in Israel?
Unfortunately, street harassment, like catcalling, can be an issue in Israel, especially in urban areas. Ouch. It's not as severe as in some other places. But it's definitely something women travelers might encounter.
Catcalling, the universal soundtrack of discomfort. Oops, not exactly a tourist attraction, is it? What about safety at night in Israeli cities?
Walking around at night in well-lit, populated areas of cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem is generally safe. However, like any urban environment, it's wise to be cautious in less crowded or poorly lit areas, and to be aware of your belongings to avoid petty theft.
Standard city smarts, got it. Now, Israel is known for its diverse and sometimes intense political and social landscape. Does that factor into women's safety or comfort at all?
Well, tensions and security concerns are a reality in Israel, especially in certain areas. While these don't usually directly target women travelers, being aware of the general political climate and potential security situations is important. It's wise to stay informed and avoid areas with known unrest.
Political climate is travel advice that's a bit heavier than just checking the weather forecast, isn't it? But it's a valid point. Does the military presence in Israel impact how women travelers perceive safety?
The visible military presence can be both reassuring and unsettling for different people. Some women might feel safer knowing there's a strong security presence, while others might find it a bit intimidating or constantly reminding of potential conflict. It's really a matter of personal perception.
Personal perception exactly. Travel is such a subjective experience, isn't it? What about cultural attitudes towards women in Israel? Is it generally a gender-equal society?
Israel is more progressive than many countries in the Middle East in terms of gender equality, especially in secular areas. Wow, women play prominent roles in many fields, including the military and politics. However, there are still some traditional and religious communities where gender roles are more conservative.
So, a mix of modern and traditional then. Navigating that balance sounds like you need a good cultural GPS. Are there any specific comforts or conveniences for women travelers in Israel?
Israel is generally very traveler-friendly overall, and that extends to women. You'll find good infrastructure, readily available transportation, and a wide range of accommodation options. And English is widely spoken, which makes getting around and asking for help easier.
English widely spoken is always a travel blessing for us monolingual comedians. So, wrapping up, Mira, if you had to give a quick summary for women travelers choosing between Iran and Israel in terms of safety and comfort.
For safety, both countries are generally safe for women travelers with standard precautions. For comfort, they offer very different experiences. Iran provides a unique cultural immersion with its own set of norms, while Israel offers a more westernized and perhaps more familiar environment for many.
So, different but both safe-ish is the headline? As always, Mira, you managed to make even complex comparisons sound like a fun travel brochure.
Anytime, Leah. And remember, listeners, whichever destination you choose, Jet Al Fai is here to help you plan your adventures safely and comfortably. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this comparison. Alright, Leo. Buckle up, because we are diving into the wild world of laws, rights, and freedoms. It's like comparing to totally different rulebooks, you know.
Rulebooks? More like rule scribbles on napkins in some places, Mir. But yeah, let's see how Iran and Israel stack up in the legal freedom Olympics.
It's got this whole Islamic law vibe going on, right? Like, imagine laws written in calligraphy. Very fancy, but maybe a bit strict.
Strict is one word for it, Mira. Think divine guidance meets earthly interpretation. And sometimes the earthly part gets a little enthusiastic.
And then there's Israel, which is more of a mix, yeah? Like a legal smoothie with a bit of everything thrown in, from religion to democracy?
A legal smoothie is a great way to put it, Mira. A bit chunky, maybe, and you're never quite sure what flavor you're going to get next. But definitely a different blend than Iran's, for sure.
So, like, in Iran, if you want to say something spicy about the government, is it like, oops, better not tweak that. Kinda spicy? Ouch.
Oops, better not breathe that. Spicy, Mira. Freedom of speech. There is more like freedom to agree. If you catch my drift. You might end up having a very long chat with some very seeple, if you're too spicy.
Oh, okay. Israel sounds a bit more say what you want, within reason. Or at least argue about it loudly in the streets kind of freedom.
Oh, Israel is definitely a shout your opinion from the rooftops kind of place, Mira. Protests, debates. Everyone's got something to say, and they usually do. It's noisy, but hey, that's freedom in action, right?
And what about, like, personal stuff? Like, what you wear, who you hang out with? In Iran, are there like fashion police?
Well, not officially fashion police with badges and sirens, but let's just say there are guidance patrols who have very strong opinions on hemlines and hairstyles. Folks, it's less express yourself and more conform yourself. In public anyway.
And Israel? Is it more wear what you want, be who you want, or is there still some, like, cultural expectations hovering around?
Israel is more wear what you want, especially in Tel Aviv. You'll see everything from bikinis to burqas on the beach. But yeah, cultural expectations exist, especially in more religious areas. It's a bit of a live and let live mostly vibe.
If you're planning a big rainbow-colored parade, probably better to do it in Tel Aviv than Tehran? Just guessing.
Mira, you are a master of understatement. Let's just say rainbow parades in Tehran are not exactly on the official tourism brochure. Haha! Tel Aviv Pride, on the other hand, is a major event.
And what about, like, if you get into trouble with the law? Is it like fair trial for everyone in both places, or are there differences?
Fair trial is a bit of a loaded term, Mira. Israel's legal system is generally considered more independent and fairer by international standards. Iran's less so. Let's just say the definition of fair might vary depending on who you ask. Ouch!
So, if you're a tourist, and you accidentally, like, drop your ice cream on a policeman's shoe in Iran, are you in big trouble? Or just a bit of a telling off?
Ice cream on a policeman's shoe in Iran. Probably just a telling off. Maybe some stern looks. But if that ice cream was, say, politically themed, just kidding mostly. Best to keep the ice cream neutral.
Neutral ice cream. Good tip, Leo. And in Israel, policeman's shoe ice cream incident? Maybe they just laugh and ask for a lick? Oh!
Israel, policeman with ice cream shoe probably depends on the policeman. Some might laugh, some might ice, some might just stare at you like you've grown a second head. But jail time for ice cream? Unlikely.
Okay, so bottom line, legal system and freedoms. Iran, maybe a bit more. Rules are rules, no wiggle room. And Israel, a bit more. Rules are guidelines, let's argue about them. Well,
Rules are rules, written in stone possibly by a very serious committee for Iran. And rules are more like suggestions, heavily debated over coffee for Israel, Mira. You nailed that!
coffee and debate. Sounds like my kind of legal system. Maybe we should move to Israel and become lawyer comedians.
Lawyer comedians in Israel? Now that's a niche market, Mira. But hey, in a place where everyone argues, maybe we be in high demand. Just gotta learn to debate in Hebrew. And men, maybe with neutral colored shoes.
Neutral shoes, got it. And maybe a law degree. Or just keep making jokes about it. Either way, fascinating stuff, Leo. Fascinating and slightly different.
Slightly different is the understatement of a century, Mira. But hey, that's what makes comparing countries so interesting, right? The crazy, wonderful, sometimes slightly scary differences. Huh. Onwards to the next topic.
Our current topic, we compare spa, healthy living, and relaxation opportunities into countries. From luxurious spas to holistic wellness practices in CU.
Wait. Mira, before we dive into spas and relaxation, can we just acknowledge that after all these country comparisons, we might actually need Spa A? I'm picturing us covered in mud, cucumbers all our eyes, just zoning out.
Leo, you always know how to read my mind. Seriously though, after dissecting economies and crime rates, the idea of a fluffy robe and some essential oil sounds like absolute heaven. Let's talk about Iran and Israel and see if they can offer us some much-needed zen, shall we?
Zen? Huh? In Iran and Israel? Okay, Mira, let's see if we can find some inner peace amidst But, alright, spot treatments it is. Let's start with Iran. In picturing ancient Persian bathhouses, maybe with a side of, what do you get with a Persian spa day?
Ooh, Leo, you're on the right track. Think Hamamets. Imagine stepping into these beautiful, steamy spaces, all mosaics and marble, feeling like you've traveled back in time. Wow. It's not just about getting clean, it's a whole cultural experience. They've been doing this for centuries.
Hamamess sounds sweaty. Okay, I get the cultural significance. But are we talking like touristy ham-a-mess, or the real deal, where some burly guy scrubs you down with a loofah like you're a dirty rug? Because, I'm delicate.
It's more like a luxurious scrub down. Think exfoliating bliss. And it's not just scrubbing. They use these amazing traditional soaps and oils. Plus, the steam is supposed to be so good for your skin. You'll emerge feeling like a newborn baby, a slightly pruned baby. Maybe, but still. Oh.
Prune baby comedian. That's my next show title. Okay, Hammermess. Noted. Anything else Siron offers in the relaxation department? Besides, escaping the day-to-day.
Well, Iran is also known for its natural hot springs. Imagine soaking in mineral-rich waters, surrounded by stunning landscapes. They say these springs have all sorts of healing properties. Plus, it's just a super relaxing way to connect with nature.
Hot springs, nice. Are we talking sulfur smell and questionable hygiene, or like fancy resort hot springs? Because, again, delicate, and I don't want to emerge smelling like rotten eggs, no matter how healing it is.
Some are more rustic, sure, but there are definitely some lovely spa resorts built around natural hot springs. Think tranquil pools, beautiful views, maybe even some traditional Persian tea afterwards. It's all about wellness and rejuvenation.
Persian tea, okay, you're starting to sell me on this Iranian spa thing. Tea always helps, but what about Israel? Are they just all about a conflict and falafel? Surely they have some relaxation techniques too?
Leo, Israel is definitely not just about conflict and falafel. Though, the falafel is amazing. Oh, but yes, they have incredible relaxation options, and some of them are world famous. Think the Dead Sea.
Ah, the Dead Sea. I've seen pictures. People floating around like they're dead. Is that relaxing or just teary?
It's incredibly relaxing. The high salt content makes you effortlessly buoyant. You just lie back and float. Plus, the mud is supposed to be amazing for your skin. It's packed with minerals. People travel from all over the world for a Dead Sea mud bath.
Mud baths, huh? You smear yourself in mud, float around, and then what? Do you emerge looking 10 years younger? Because it's so, sign me up immediately. You'll even brave the floating zombie vibe.
Well, maybe not 10 years younger, but your skin will feel incredible. It's supposed to be detoxifying and really good for skin conditions. And honestly, just floating in that unique environment is such a cool experience. Wow, it's definitely a must-do for relaxation in Israel.
So, I think that we can carpet that. Okay, Dead Sea mud floating like Akakin, picturing myself covered in goo, looking like some creature from a swamp monster movie. But if it's good for the skin, fine, they'll consider it. What else does Israel offer? Less muddy options?
Israel has beautiful Mediterranean beaches. Think sun, sand, and sea. Perfect for just chilling out, soaking up the rays, and listening to the waves. Tel Aviv has some amazing beaches. Super lively and fun.
Beaches? Yes. I can do beaches. Sun, maybe a cocktail is like. Super crowded beaches, or are there some hidden gems where a comedian can escape the paparazzi, hypothetically?
Well, Tel Aviv beaches can be lively, but there are definitely quieter stretches along the coast, especially further north or south. You can find your own little slice of paradise, Leo. I promise. And yes, cocktails are definitely an option.
Paradise with cocktails much better than swamp monster mud. Anything else? Or is it just beaches and floating in salty goo?
Israel also has some fantastic modern spas and wellness centers, especially in cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Think luxurious treatments, massages, facials, all the usual spa indulgences. Ooh, plus, there's a growing interest in holistic wellness practices like yoga and meditation.
Yoga and meditation, Mira? Are you suggesting I need to find my inner guru? Because my inner guru is usually just telling me to order another coffee.
Maybe your inner guru needs a spa day too. But seriously, Israel has some great year-end retreats and wellness centers, often with beautiful settings, maybe overlooking the desert or the sea. It's a different kind of relaxation, more about mindfulness and inner peace.
Mindfulness inner peace sounds suspiciously quiet. But okay, you'll admit, sometimes even I need a break from the jokes and the crowds. So, you're on with the ancient Hammermess and hot springs? is roll with the Dead Sea Mud and modern spas. Which one wins the relaxation showdown?
It's tough to say wins, Leo, because they both offer such different but amazing experiences. Beer on is all about that rich history and tradition with the Hammermess and natural springs. It's a really immersive cultural experience. Wow.
Cultural steam bath.
And Israel is more about that unique Dead Sea experience in the modern Mediterranean vibe. It's got that amazing natural wonder and then blends it with contemporary wellness trends. Ooh.
So, if I want to feel like him in some ancient Persian poem, I go to Iran. If I want to look like a swamp monster and float like a cork, I go to Israel. Is that the takeaway?
Leah, you have such a way with words. But kinda, yeah, if you want a really unique, culturally rich spa experience. Iran's Hammermess and hot springs are incredible. And if you're after something truly unique and naturally therapeutic, the Dead Sea is hard to beat.
Okay, so maybe a hammam in Iran followed by a Dead Sea mud bath in Israel, the ultimate cross-calorid spa journey. We could call it Mud and Mosaics, a relaxation odyssey.
Leo, I love it. Mud and mosaics. Maybe we should pitch that to Jeddah Faya as our next travel adventure. Aha! We could research spas in both countries for journalistic purposes, of course.
Journalistic purposes, naturally, and maybe document our mud monster transformations for our YouTube audience. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see Leo and Mira covered in Dead Sea goo.
And let us know in the comments, listeners, which spa experience sounds more relaxing to you. Iranian hammer, more Israeli Dead Sea mud. We're dying to know. Ooh, and for more country comparisons, maybe even some spa tips, head over to Jeddah AI.
Yeah, Jeddah AI, where we're probably already planning our mud and mosaic trip. Just kidding mostly. But seriously, thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay relaxed, or at least try to, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, everyone. And remember, even if life gets steamy, there's always time for a good laugh and maybe a hammam. All right, Leo. Let's talk about something a bit more, shall we say, soulful. Opportunities for religious and spiritual needs in Iran and Israel. Sounds like a deep dive, doesn't it? I hope we don't need scuba gear.
Soulful? Mira? Are we about to turn into a podcast about meditation and chanting? Though, picturing myself in a robe, nope, still prefer my jeans and a good cup of coffee. But alright, religious and spiritual needs, let's see if we can find some humor in holy places.
Maybe not robes for you, Leah. But think about it, both Iran and Israel are, like, HUG, historical hubs for major religions, right? Iran, with its stunning mosques and rich Islamic traditions, imagine the architecture. Wow, like stepping into a history book. But you know, a really beautifully decorated history book.
Oh, history books remind me of school. But yeah, the mosques in Iran, I've seen pictures. They're pretty impressive, even for a cynical comedian like myself. And Israel, well, you can't swing a cat without hitting a holy site, can you? Figuratively speaking, of course. Animal lovers, please don't send hate mail.
No cat swinging, Leo. But seriously, think about Jerusalem. It's like holy central for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Talk about spiritual crossroads. Whoa, imagine the energy there. It must be buzzing with, well, maybe not electricity, but definitely something spiritual. Why?
Buzzing with tourists, maybe. I'm kidding, mostly. But yeah, Jerusalem is a big deal. I guess if you're into pilgrimages, you're spoiled for choice in that region. Just pack comfy shoes. I hear there's a lot of walking involved in spiritual journeys. Ouch. My feet are already hurting just thinking about it.
Comfort is key for spiritual enlightenment. Aha! Maybe they should invent spiritual sneakers, souls. But back to Iran. Beyond the mosques, you've got Zoroastrians, one of the oldest religions. That's pretty amazing, right? Like, ancient spiritual vibes still kicking.
Ancient vibes sounds like my dating profile. by source attristance. That's going way back. Iran's got layers of spiritual history like a really complicated, delicious baklava. Lots of layers, lots of sweetness, and probably just as confusing to figure out.
Now you're talking my language. Maybe spiritual enlightenment comes with baklava? We should test that theory. But Israel, with Judaism, it's not just about ancient history, it's a living, breathing, modern faith too. Synagogues everywhere, different Jewish communities, it's a real tapestry, isn't it?
A tapestry woven with strong opinions, I bet. But yeah, diverse Jewish communities, that's true. From ultra-Orthodox to more secular, it's like a spiritual buffet, something for everyone. Even the picky eaters. Or maybe especially the picky eaters.
I love it. And in Iran, even though it's an Islamic republic, there are recognized religious minorities too, like Christians and Jews. It's not just one flavor on the menu, right? There's some spice of diversity there as well.
Spice of diversity could be mild, could be chili hot, depending on who you ask, I guess. But yeah, officially recognized minorities, it's good on paper at least. Though the practical side of religious freedom, that's always the tricky part, isn't it?
But for someone seeking spiritual experiences, just being in these places, feeling the history, seeing the devotion, that's got to be powerful, right? Whether you're Muslim visiting Aaron's holy sites, or Jewish or Christian in Israel, it's like plugging into a spiritual power grid. Wow.
Plugging into a spiritual power grid sounds a bit intense for my taste, Mira. I prefer my spirituality with a side of irony. Thank you very much. But I get what you mean. For believers, being in those places, it's probably like a comedian finally getting a laugh after a terrible joke. Pure relief.
Spiritual relief through terrible jokes. Only you, Leo. But seriously, for people who are deeply religious, having access to these holy sites, being able to practice their faith openly, within the local laws, of course, that's a huge opportunity for their spiritual growth.
Openly within the local laws, those are the key phrases, aren't they? Religious freedom, it's always got asterisks and footnotes attached. But yeah, access to sites, places of worship, important stuff for a lot of people. And probably good for tourism too. See it shaking. Oops, did I just make a joke about holy sites and money?
Oops is right, Leo. But hey, we're just keeping it real, right? Even spirituality can't escape the realities of the world. But thinking about it, both countries, despite their differences, offer incredibly rich and diverse opportunities for people to explore their religious and spiritual sides. It's quite something, isn't it?
Is something. And hey, maybe after this podcast, they'll finally understand what spiritual actually means. Nah, probably not. I'll just stick to the coffee and the jokes. But if you're planning a spiritual trip, listeners, Jedoff AI can probably help you figure out the best coffee shops along the way.
Jedoff AI, your guide to spiritual journeys and coffee breaks. And if you like this deep dive into souls and synagogues and mosques, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Maybe enlightenment points will be awarded for every like. Okay, Leo, let's jump into social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity for Iran and Israel. This sounds like a topic that could get spicy, like a good Persian stew.
Spicy indeed, Mira, though hopefully less about culinary spices and more about the complex flavors of society. Diversity and equality, especially in that part of the world, it's like trying to quiet a bazaar.
For Iran, you know, it's often painted with one brush, but it's actually a beautiful mosaic of emphasizes and cultures. You've got Persians, Hazaras, Kurds, Arabs, and so many more. Wow. It's like a United Nations convention, but with better food. But
Better food, definitely a safe bet, Mira. But like any mosaic, some pieces might fit smoother than others. Israel, on the other hand, often talks about being a melting pot, but it's more like a pressure cooker with different ingredients constantly bumping into each other.
Pressure cooker. Oh, I love that analogy, Leo. In Iran, well, they have this amazing diversity officially. It's all under the banner of Islam, right? It's like saying, come to our rainbow party. And everyone has to wear beige.
Beige Rainbow Party classic. And in Israel, you've got the Jewish majority, but also a significant population, plus all sorts of Jewish backgrounds from Europe, Africa, everywhere. It's like a family reunion where everyone has a different family recipe and a very strong opinion about it.
Family reunion recipe fight? I can picture it now. And in Iran, religious minorities like Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrian are officially recognized, which is something. It's like getting a participation trophy, but still being in the game.
Participation trophies are always nice, Mira, but sometimes you want more than just the trophy, right? In Israel, they pride themselves on religious freedom, but tensions are always simmering, especially when it comes to the Palestinian minority and their rights.
Simmering tensions, always on the menu. Speaking of rights, in Iran, things like freedom of speech and assembly, well, let's just say they aren't exactly throwing parades for it. It's more like a very quiet, indoor picnic for those freedoms.
Indoor picnic in an indefinitely not disruptive. And Israel, while being a democracy, constantly faces criticism about its treatment of Palestinians in the occupied territories. It's like having a house party with a house you're not allowed to go to.
Forbidden wing at the party. Sounds mysterious and slightly ominous. For social equality, especially for women in Iran, there are definitely restrictions like dress codes and limitations on certain freedoms. It's like saying, you can run a marathon, but you have to wear heels. Ouch!
Heels for a marathon? Ouch is right. In Israel, gender equality is generally better legally, but in practice, especially within some religious communities, traditional roles still hold strong. It's like progress is a train, but some carriages are moving faster than others.
Train of progress with varying speeds. I like that. And when we talk about diversity in Iran, it's not just ethnicity and religion, but also different social classes and urban rural divides. It's like a layered cake where each layer is different, but you hope it all tastes good together.
Layered cake of society, hopefully not too many burnt layers. Israel also has its social divides, especially between secular and religious Jews, and between different socioeconomic groups. It's like a startup nation, but not everyone gets the same stock options.
Startup nation stock options, that's a good one. So, in both Iran and Israel, while they boast diverse populations and in some ways protect minorities, there are definitely ongoing challenges with social equality and true inclusivity. It's like they're both works in progress, constantly being updated, but maybe still in beta mode. Aha!
Beta mode societies constantly patching and debugging. It's a complex picture, Mira, not a simple good or bad scenario. For anyone looking from the outside, it's crucial to dig deeper than the headlines and understand the nuances of social life in both countries. And maybe check out Jetoff AI for more detailed comparisons, just saying.
Because social equality and diversity, it's not just about laws on paper, but about how people actually live and interact every day. And for that, you need to really look beyond the surface. And maybe watch our podcast on YouTube and give us a like if you found this insightful.
Exactly, Mira. It's about the human stories behind the statistics, the everyday experiences of people from different backgrounds. And that's where the real picture of social equality and diversity emerges. It's not just black and white, more like 50 shades of gray beige, and maybe a splash of rainbow, if you look closely enough.
Our current topic, we compare taxation, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants into countries. From tax structures to pension plans, it's like a financial obstacle course, isn't it?
So I think that we can compare that financial obstacle course more like a financial horror movie, Mira. Especially when you're dealing with places that have interesting political climates. You might need a financial wire board to figure it out.
Oh, Leah, you always make it sound so dramatic. But you're right, for anyone thinking of moving long-term, figuring out taxes and retirement is crucial. It's not as fun as deciding which falafel is better, but definitely more important for your future. Ooh.
So I think that we can conquer that. Falafel is always more important, Mira, always. But fine, let's pretend to be responsible adults for a moment. So, taxes in Iran versus Israel for immigrants. It's not exactly a beach holiday topic, is it?
Definitely not beach holiday vibes, but imagine retiring on a beautiful beach knowing you've sorted out all the tax stuff. That's the dream, right? So, let's talk Iran first. For long-term immigrants, understanding the Iranian tax system can be a bit like trying to understand Farsi poetry on your first day, beautiful, but confusing. Whoa!
Farsi poetry? More like Farsi tax forms? I bet even native Iranians sometimes look at their tax forms and think, did I accidentally summon a djinn by filling this out wrong? From what I gathered, Iran's tax system can be nuanced.
Nuanced is a polite way of saying complex, Leo. But yes, it's based on income earned within Iran. And for immigrants, it's essential to get your head around things like income tax, VAT, and all those lovely acronyms. And don't forget about Social Security contributions.
Social Security. That's the dream, isn't it? Isn't it? Contributing now for a hopefully comfortable future where we can just sip tea and judge people from park benches. In Iran, the Social Security system or Social Security organization, it's there, but for immigrants, the devil is in the details, as they say.
Details like eligibility contribution rates and what benefits you're actually entitled to. It's not always straightforward, and getting reliable info and be like searching for a specific grain of rice in a well. A giant bag of rice.
A giant bag of rice in a Tehran Mazar, maybe. And then you've got retirement. Retiring in Iran as an immigrant, imagine the Persian feasts. But practically speaking, understanding pension schemes and how your contributions translate to retirement benefits is key.
Persian feasts are definitely a plus. But yeah, for retirement in Iran, immigrants need to navigate the pension system. It's not just about delicious food, it's about financial security in your golden years. Wow.
Golden years are years of golden confusion, depending on how well you've planned. Now, let's jump over to Israel, shall we? From Persian complexity to Israeli intensity? Is that a fair comparison, Mira?
Israeli intensity. I love it, Leah. It's definitely a different vibe. Israel's tax system is generally considered more, let's say, Western-aligned in structure. They have income tax, corporate tax, VAT, and Social Security, like many developed countries.
Western aligned, but with that unique Israeli flavor. I imagine filing taxes is like having a conversation with a very direct person. They get straight to the point, maybe a little intense, but efficient, hopefully.
Efficient is the key word, Leo. Israel has a pretty well-organized tax authority. For immigrants, especially all the more new immigrants, there are often tax benefits and incentives to help them settle in.
No, you're talking my language, Mira. Who doesn't love a good tax break? It's like finding extra chocolate in your biscuit tin. These Israeli tax benefits for new immigrants sound interesting.
Things like tax holidays, reduced tax rates for a certain period, it's all designed to make the move a bit easier financially. And for social rights, Israel has a strong social security system known as BUAH Leumi. Wow.
BUAH Leumi sounds like a superhero. Does it come with a cape? But seriously, Social Security in Israel is pretty comprehensive, covering things like healthcare, unemployment, disability, and of course, retirement pensions.
And yes, BUAH Leumi provides a wide range of benefits. For long-term immigrants who contribute, it offers access to healthcare, various allowances, and old-age pensions. It's a pretty solid safety net.
Safety net is good, especially when you're thinking about retirement. Israeli pensions are generally well-structured with both state and private pension options available. Navigating it all still requires some effort, but it's arguably more transparent than some other systems.
Transparency is definitely a plus. And when it comes to retirement in Israel, the system is designed to be relatively robust. Immigrants who have contributed to BUAH Leumi will be eligible for old age pensions. And there are also supplementary pension plans to consider.
So if I'm picturing this right, Iran is like a mysterious spice market full of flavor, but you might get lost trying to find the paprika. And Israel is more like a well-organized tech startup efficient. Maybe a bit intense, but you know where everything is supposed to be. Is that wildly inaccurate?
But I get your point, Leo. Iran's system can feel less transparent and more complex for immigrants to navigate initially. Israel's system, while still bureaucratic, is generally more accessible and has specific provisions to support newer access. Wow.
Accessible bureaucracy, is that even a thing? But I see what you mean. For anyone planning a long-term move, especially with retirement in mind, doing your homework on the tax and social security systems is absolutely non-negotiable. You can't just rely on hummus and sunshine, sadly. Oops.
Hummus and sunshine are great, but they don't pay the bills in retirement, Leo. So, for our listeners thinking about Iran or Israel, Genoa could be a fantastic resource to start digging deeper into these topics. They'd probably have articles and guides to help navigate these financial landscapes.
Absolutely, Genoa AI, your trusty guide through the bureaucratic jungles of global relocation. And YouTube, of course, because who doesn't love watching videos about tax regulations? Said no one ever. But seriously, visual guides can be helpful for complex topics like this.
Visual guides articles, maybe even connecting with expats who have been through the process. Information is power when it comes to taxes and retirement. And remember, if you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. It's like a little tax break for our souls.
A tax break for our souls. I love it, Mira. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments section. We might not be tax section, we're experts at WoW, at talking. And who knows, maybe we'll feature your question in a future episode. Powered by Jet Off VR.
Definitely. So, to sum it up, taxes, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants in Iran and Israel complex, different, and absolutely essential to understand. Do your research, use resources like Jet Off AI, and maybe consult a financial advisor who specializes in international moves. And don't forget to enjoy the journey, even the financially confusing parts.
Enjoy the financially confusing parts, that's a new life motto, Mira. But good advice all around. And remember, folks, whether you're facing Iranian tax forms or Israeli social security, a little preparation can save you a lot of financial headaches later on. And maybe leave you with more money for falafel. Just say.
Our current topic, we compare the rate of meeting specific interests into countries. From niche hobby clubs to specialized events and community engagement, we bring passions to life. Oh, it's like asking, if you have a super specific hobby, where are you more likely to find your tribe? Iran or Israel? Iran or Israel?
Specific interests, you say? Like competitive hummus tasting? Because if that's a thing, I'm already packing my bags for the Middle East. But seriously, when we talk about passions, it's like trying to find the perfect spice blend, right? You need the right ingredients in the right environment. Let's see which country seasons it better for niche interests.
Think about it. If someone's really ancient Persian miniature painting, or maybe Israeli folk dance, where would they find more fellow enthusiasts, more workshops, more places to really geek out? Wow, it's like a treasure hunt for passion, isn't it?
A treasure hunt. Yes, but hopefully not one where the map is written in ancient Aramaic. Hey, my brain already short circuits trying to assemble IKEA furniture instructions. But okay, miniature painting versus folk dance. It's like a cultural showdown in the hobby area. Let's see, Iran, land of rich history, Israel, land of vibrant modernity.
For Iran, with its incredible artistic heritage, you'd imagine there'd be amazing pockets for traditional arts. Like maybe secret calligraphy circles maybe in tea houses, or workshops on intricate carpet weaving that are passed down through generations. That sounds so romantic, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Tea house calligraphy circles. That does sound like something straight out of a movie. I can picture it now, dimly lit room, hushed whispers, intense focus on Brustrakozip. Meanwhile, in Israel, maybe it's more like flash mob. Super energetic, everyone joining in, maybe even with glow sticks.
Now that's so dancing. Now that's a YouTube video waiting to happen. Boom. But you know, Israel's also a hub for tech and innovation, so maybe specific interests that lean towards the supermodern, like coding clubs for kids, or drone racing leagues, or even competitive. Vegan cooking?
Competitive vegan cooking. Whoa, is that where they judge you on your kale chip crispiness and your cashew cheese melt factor? Sounds intense. But yeah, Israel definitely has that startup vibe. I bet you could find a group for literally anything from underwater basket weaving with recycled plastic to, I don't know, philosophical debates in Klingon?
Philosophical debates in Klingon. Leo, you're giving me images. But seriously, think about community engagement. In Iran, maybe it's more about community centers focused on traditional crafts and storytelling, strengthening those cultural roots.
Yeah, maybe Iran is more about preserving traditions, finding community through shared history and art forms. Think bustling bazaars where artisans gather, workshops in ancient cities. It's like stepping back in time, but with a shared passion in the present.
And in Israel, perhaps community engagement is more about innovation hubs, maker spaces, and meetups for everything under the sun, fueled by that dynamic, entrepreneurial spirit. Like, hey, let's start a group for people who collect vintage rubber ducks. And boom, there's a meetup next week.
Vintage rubber duck collectors of Tel Aviv. I can see the headlines now. But it's true, Israel feels like a place where if you have a weird and wonderful interest, you're likely to find someone else who shares it, probably 2 blocks away. It's that kind of energetic, anything is possible atmosphere.
For someone with a very specific passion, which country gives you more of a homing beacon vibe? Is it the deep-rooted traditions of Iran, or the buzzing innovation of Israel? It's a tough call, like choosing between baklava and rougelet. Ooh, both delicious but totally different.
Baklava versus rougelet. Now you're talking my language. Maybe it depends on the flavor of your passion, right? If you're into something deeply rooted in history and artistry, Iran might offer a richer soil. If Iran might offer a richer soil. If you're into something cutting edge and future focused, Israel might be your innovation gun.
Such a great way to put it. Leo, innovation garden versus historical soil. So, if you're listening out there and you're thinking of exploring your niche interest in either Iran or Israel, think about what kind of environment nourishes your passion best.
Exactly. And maybe check out Jet-Off AI for more insights, because figuring out where your passions can bloom is a big part of choosing where to live or travel. It's not just about seeing the sights. It's about finding your people, your tribe, your... It's not a finding your people, your competitive homostasters.
Competitive homostasters unite. We need to make that a real thing. But yes, seriously, for meeting specific interests, both Iran and Israel offer unique landscapes. It just depends on what kind of passion flower you are, and where you want to plant yourself.
Passion flower planting, I like it. And hey, if you end up starting a philosophical debate club in Klingon in Tel Aviv, or a miniature painting circle in a tea house in Isfahan, make sure to film it and put it on YouTube. We want to see this passion in action.
And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this podcast and want to explore more comparisons between amazing countries. Ooh, we're here to help you find your perfect passion place, one witty comparison at a time.
All right, friends, that's our take on meeting specific interests in Iran and Israel. I hope it sparked some ideas for you. And remember, whether you're into ancient arts or futuristic hobbies, the world is full of fascinating communities waiting to be discovered.